look at another update on inflation this morning. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. At the wholesale level, following last week's report showing consumer prices surging at a 40-year high, something Federal Reserve policymakers will analyze the next 2 days, with another interest rate hike coming tomorrow.
The markets now think the Fed is going big to counter higher prices. So the chances of a 75 basis point move now sit at over 90%.
Now, a 75 basis point interest rate increase would be 0.75%.
There's also the chance that the Fed moves a rare 100 basis points at their July meeting. The last time that happened was the early 1980s.
Fox Business Network's Lauren Simonetti. Stock futures have been up modestly after yet another massive sell-off. The Dow plunged within 1,700 points the past 2 trading days, while gas rises again another fraction to another record high. AAA's national average for regular even further above 5.01 per gallon. The polls are just opening in South Carolina, where 2 House Republicans are facing Trump-backed primary challenges. Katie Arrington's trying to unseat Congresswoman Nancy Mace.
She's not a conservative. That's why I'm running. She turned her back on us in the district. She turned her back on Donald J. Trump.
Mace has said even if voters disagreed with her criticisms of Trump, they can trust she'll be honest about where she stands.
I am the only woman in this race on this ballot who knows how to win the 1st congressional district.
Of 6 Republicans running against 7th District incumbent Tom Rice, Trump has backed state lawmaker Russell Fry, who said the race drew so much interest because Rice voted to impeach Trump.
That's Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. There are also primaries in Maine, Nevada, and North Dakota. Summer has come early. The past few days in the Southwest with triple-digit heat. Now more of the country will be getting it with excessive heat warnings and advisories.
That's over 102 million people affected, which is about 31% of the United States population.
National Weather Service meteorologist Brian Hurley, temperatures around 100 degrees. America's listening to Fox News.
After 9/11, Ben Harrow couldn't wait to enlist in the Army. But in Afghanistan, Ben stepped on an IED while leading an anti-terrorism mission. Ben survived but lost both of his legs above the knee, 2 fingers, and sustained injuries to his right forearm. Ben now lives in a smart home from the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, which gave him back his independence despite his severe physical challenges. Help heroes like Ben. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at t2t.org.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with expertise and tools with Windows 11 to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. To do more with a Latitude laptop, Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. It is 6:03 and Robinson saves you time. Going to be a hot one here in mid-Missouri. A heat advisory in effect until Wednesday evening at 8 o'clock. We're already at 77 degrees right now, and it's 6:03 in the morning. Sunny today, our high of 96. Clear tonight with a low of 76 degrees. We'll talk more about our weather situation here in just a moment. Good morning. I'm Brian Hauswirth, and we begin this hour with a quick traffic update. Joint Communications here in Boone County is reporting that a tractor trailer right now is on fire on I-70 near the Roachport exit. Now, we don't have a lot of details right now. They just tweeted this out moments before I walked into the studio, so I haven't had a chance to talk to them on the phone. But it sounds like, just based on their tweet, a tractor trailer is on fire, I-70 westbound, I believe near the Roachport exit. So be prepared for that. If we do have anyone in that area that has some information, let Branden and Hannah know. We'll pass that along. 573-874-TI-874. I almost said, gave you the tips number, 874-9390. Probably don't need to call Crime Stoppers on that one. 874-9390 is the number to call, and we'll pass along an update to you. Now to our weather situation. It is very hot right now. Obviously, across mid-Missouri, Columbia and Jefferson City remain under a heat advisory through tomorrow evening. National Weather Service St. Louis meteorologist Matt Beitcher is urging you to stay hydrated.
Heat advisory is issued by our office when the maximum heat index for any period of time meets or exceeds 105 degrees. That means that a combination of heat and humidity would make the temperature feel like 105 degrees in the shade.
NWS is urging you to stay hydrated, to take frequent breaks as well. National Weather Service St. Louis meteorologist Alex Elmore also says cooler air will move into central Missouri on Thursday. Now, that'll bring cooler temperatures to the area on Friday through Sunday. Now, these cooler temperatures will still be in the 90s, we're told, but humidity will be lower. The dew points will be lower as well, and you'll certainly feel it. So that is the good news there. Now, St. Louis actually broke a record from 1952. It was 100 degrees yesterday in St. Louis. That breaks a record from 1952. Columbia reached a high yesterday of 96. Our record high in 1953 on yesterday's date was 100. So we did not break the record, but we were close. A Fulton man receives a decades-long sentence in a 2019 drug-related murder.
A Fulton man will spend the rest of his life behind bars after being convicted of murder in a 2019 drug deal gone bad. 51-year-old Justin Ray Witt draws a 74-year prison term in the shooting death of Nathan Pritchett Jr. A Boone County jury found him guilty in March. John Marsh, Zimmer News Network.
And we have more information on the Witt case on our website. It's 939theeagle.com. A tentative bipartisan agreement in the U.S. Senate on gun legislation is being criticized by Missouri Senate candidate Mark McCloskey. The St. Louis and tells 939 The Eagles Wake Up Columbia that the left scares people into doing things that they normally wouldn't do if they weren't afraid.
I mean, the bottom line is that they always want to do things about what the left calls assault weapons, when in the real world more people get killed every year by hands and feet and even hammers than long guns of all kinds.
The Washington Post is reporting the bipartisan tentative agreement includes modest gun restrictions with significant new mental health and school security investments. Missouri Senator Roy Blunt supports the tentative compromise. You can hear our full interview with McCloskey on the website. It's 939theeagle.com. By the way, Attorney General Eric Schmidt, who's also seeking the GOP nomination, was on Fox News last night with Tucker Carlson. He is also critical of that tentative framework. And you'll notice new hours next month at Columbia's drive-through cashier office behind City Hall. It's a drive-through window, provides you with an opportunity to pay your utility bill. You get a receipt. It's been open weekdays, 7:30 to 5:30 weekdays. Citing limited usage, City will change those hours effective July 5th to 8 to 5. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you in the 6 o'clock hour by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning. For all of your cooling needs, log on to airserve.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:07. Turning our attention now to sports. The Cardinals beat the Pirates Monday evening at Busch Stadium 7-5. Goldschmidt had the tie-breaking home run in the seventh inning for the Cardinals, who had 14 hits. Dylan Carlson also with a home run for the Cardinals. They're now up by one game, leading in the National League Central Division. Cardinals and the Pirates doubleheader today. So we have two games for you here on the Eagle today, one in the afternoon, the other in the evening. 12:15, 6:45 are the two game times, and one of these is a makeup from an April rainout. Pre-game coverage this morning, Tom Ackerman, 11:20 on 93.9 The Eagle. Giants beat the Royals last night, 6-2. Game 2 of their series is tonight. Sports brought to you by Witt Print Shop, where your printed products are so much more than ink and paper. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:08. John, thank you. Right now we do have partly cloudy skies, 77. 6:09 traffic check, midmohires.com. Local companies are looking for local people, midmohires.com. Again, Boone County Joint Communications is reporting a tractor trailer is on fire on westbound I-70 at the Highway BB Roachport exit. According to Joint Com, it is creating a traffic hazard. They're urging you to avoid the area if at all possible. If you have some information, if you can give us a better description, 573-874-9390. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Okay, America, that's enough. Just stop piling on Joe Biden, okay? Stop blaming him for everything, okay? Inflation, fine. Maybe it's partly him. Gasoline prices, fine. Blame him. But you cannot blame him for the baby formula shortage. No, because he drinks Ensure, not Enfamil.
That didn't go where I was expecting it to go. That's comedian Mark Yaffe. More shortages. The latest shortage. Matter of fact, one of our news partners, ABC 17, picking up this story, chatting with somebody yesterday. But first, I want to get to this traffic thing that could impact thousands of travelers along I-70 this morning.
Well, Branden, obviously, before this traffic accident, because of what they're doing out there, MoDOT, there's already one lane westbound anyway that is closed right now, and that will be closed until 7 o'clock because the workers have been out there all night. So traffic is going to be tied up a little bit anyway. But Joint Communications is saying a tractor trailer is on fire westbound I-70, Highway BB Roachport exit. Use caution. Avoid area if possible is what they've tweeted. I'll get some more information here as soon as I get off the air. But as you pointed out, while I was doing the newscast and I could not see the video, our news colleagues, Megan Drakus, broke in at ABC 17. It sounds like it's a FedEx truck that is on fire.
They were showing video, and I'm looking. It always bums me out. I mean, you got a truck driver, and truck catches on fire, and then this is has the potential to affect thousands of people heading into work, doing whatever it is that they're doing. And then I'm like, oh, man, it's a FedEx truck. Now there's going to be a shortage on packages. We've already got enough shortages, dang it.
And this is, we had a tractor trailer fire a couple of weeks ago. So similar situation, different type of delivery vehicle, but yeah, it can happen. Hopefully nobody is hurt more than anything else. But yeah, it's definitely going to create some problems because they're already down to one lane in that area.
It's so hot, semis are catching on fire, and that is something obviously. It's going to be hot today, heat advisory, and it's just, and we know, be careful, drink plenty of fluids, stay cool if you can, bring your pet hamsters in from the backyard.
Yeah, I went up to my kids had a softball last night at Cosmo Park, and it was that night where like you were already sweating, so you were just kind of drenched, but then it was so dry that it blew that softball dust, and you were just like everything we had, our hydro flasks, my purse, me, my hair, just that thin layer of just yuck.
Wow.
So I feel you if you have to spend some time out there. It is hot. The wind was blowing, and there was plenty of water to be had out there, and people were reminding everyone and keeping an eye on each other. And I think that's something too, is keep an eye on those around you, because people just get busy, they forget. And if someone's looking a little bit flushed, make sure your folks are drinking water.
Don't be a cowboy, because I'll do this sometimes. I'll get out there and oh man. Yeah, but I'm a 51-year-old man who's not quite as stout as I was. So as we're saying, you know it's hot. You know what you need to do. But the folks that are working outside, you're still trying to get stuff done, and
that's right.
Probably already frustrated because, you pay attention to the news, and we're trying to offer you some hope this morning. And I think the best that we can do, as a matter of fact, I've reached out to Hartzler. I'm like, hey, if you can come on and talk specifically, is there an end in sight? Because that's the thing. Everybody, we all know, okay, things really do suck. I mean, these are real things, and it's not just talking points like, look how bad the president's doing and all that. It is not just that. These are real-life things. We talk about, and we've been saying this for a while, gas prices, when gas prices were going up. I mean, 2 years ago, they were, of course, maybe 2 years ago is not a good indicator because we were in the, the COVID thing. Gas prices were down. But even you look at over the past, you look at what's happened since those tragic events of January the 20th. Of 2021, what's happened to gas prices. And for a while, you kind of say, well, it's gas price. What are you going to do? You're going to pay them unless you want to do something different. And now it's to the point it's almost not funny anymore. And I get to wondering, what can we do? Because there are some folks that really, you talk about, you're paying $2 more per gallon. And I'm thinking of families that are already living on very tight budgets. And it's just frustrating. So I've asked Hartzler if she'd come on tomorrow and say, can you just offer us some kind of hope? Is there any end in sight? Because we can sit here and complain but that's not the kind of show that we are, and we never have been. We do a little bit of that sometimes, but I've never been one of those, rah, 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 rah. There's a million other people that do it, and frankly, it gets boring, and it's old, and there's no solutions and no hope. So here's what we can offer you today in the way of hope.
Can we get like a ticker in the background? We'll just do a countdown to November and just say countdown to hope, and we'll just have it constantly running.
By the way, I think one of the biggest things, and we're going to cover some more of this with Chris Arps yesterday, January 6th, hearings, really nothing new came out of there. I still don't understand how people say, well, because Trump, this and election fraud claims, and he told those people to go do that and storm the Capitol. That's all complete, utter BS. Anybody who believes that, I'm just telling you, welcome into the show. Welcome if you're a newer listener, but that's just not how it works. You are responsible for what you do. I am responsible for what Hannah tells me to do. We're all responsible for our own things. But I'll tell you, one of the big takeaways, and we'll cover this more with Chris Arps, 635, is more of this. And listen, don't be mad. I'm going to tell you now. And once they started proving, listen, there was no significant voter fraud to change the outcome of the election. I have not wavered from that. If anything, that was probably, I think, one of the biggest takeaways is you had all these people, former Trump attorneys, former Trump campaign advisors, telling us before the certification of the election and the election night in 2020, like, hey, Donald, it's just not there. It's shit. And these were all people from his inner circle. It just reinforces what I believe. And I know a lot of folks will disagree with that. And somebody asked me, said, well, have you seen 2,000 Mules yet? It's in my queue. I'm going to watch Michael Moore's Fahrenheit 9/11 first. And then I'm going to watch 2,000 Mules.
Well, and I think, what some people did on that day was horrible, but mainly what's coming out in those hearings is, they're saying, well, all of his people were telling him he was wrong and he was detached from reality. But again, being the president in this election was his whole life. And I think people forget that he's a human being. And, have you ever had anything in your life that you were just so consumed by that then, for a while, for 24 hours after it didn't go the way that you wanted, that you might have been detached from reality and clinging to hope that the outcome was different. And I think about, people who struggle in business. I'm sure there are people at the end of the life of their business that was their whole life that everyone around them is saying, this isn't working. It doesn't make sense. And you're saying, and that person is saying, no, this is my whole life. I'm going to make it work. And I'm sure the people around them are like, this person is completely detached from reality. And it probably takes you some time to come to terms with what people around you are telling. And some people never come to terms with it. But I think, from my perspective, I feel bad a little bit for him that, I think a lot of people in a situation, maybe not in a run for the presidency, but in others, could have 24 hours or a week where I'm in disbelief and I am detached from actual reality because I wanted something so badly.
Yeah. And you're right. There's the human element to this. We talk about politics and complain about Joe and all that good stuff, and there is always that human element to things. Real quick traffic note. Listener Fred off the text 874-9390 just drove by the BB Rocheport exit. Tractor trailer is about greatest voice to text. I can't tell what the guy is saying. Maybe somebody else can read that. So, and then we talk about shortages, and I've seen this one kind of on a national level, but it doesn't affect me, so I don't get into it. Our news partners, ABC 17, talking to Jennifer Hickam. She is the interim director of True North of Columbia, and this is a real thing. And as a dude, I think, well, it doesn't affect me, but it still affects a lot of people. Shortages on tampons now.
But if the shortage continues, we would be going through all of those, and we would be reaching out to donors again and asking for their help.
So she's saying, and again, we go back to that, we talk about the high gas prices and, fortunately can still afford it. I've made one change in how I do my Google circle. My Google circle at the end of the month is a little bit different now, but I started doing that like 2 or 3 months ago. I changed my daily routine, so I'm cutting out one trip every day. I just don't know what else I can do at this point. But there are some folks, that stuff is real, whether it's having to pay almost $5 a gallon for gasoline. That is just unbelievable. And tampon shortages. And it goes to the charities that are saying, hey, okay, this is how it's going to affect us. And that's a real thing for folks. It's another shortage on stuff. And I will always, 2 things. I always said when Trump was president, not that I do whataboutism, I always said it when Barack was president and when W was the decider in charge. I always said, I don't care who the president is, we want the president. We want the country ultimately to do well. When you're in charge, you got to take credit for the good, and you get to take credit for the good, and you got to take credit for the bad. The guy taking naps in the White House right now, all of this solely at his feet. And it's another thing. And see, this is how so I'm thinking of young women who right now, and I'm being serious here, they're like, I can't find tampons, tampon shortage. The guy in charge of the stuff, young female voters who went and voted for Joe. This is another way as we try to welcome regretful Biden voters into Wake Up Columbia, 93.9 The Eagle. This is another way that stuff, it affects you. These are real life effects, real things that happen. One of the other things that hopefully we'll get into with Chris Arps, 635, one of the big things I think that maybe the January 6th hearing yesterday did, maybe started to add some clarity to the 2024 presidential race with statements from Florida Governor Ron DeSantis yesterday, Trump coming out with a statement too. Some of the things we are covering for you this morning here on Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com. Coming up, we are going to be doing the daily D.C. rundown. What are some of your highlights today, Steph?
Well, what state I'm going to be watching as it conducts its primary today?
Because there's a lot of interesting things going on. You have to wait for all those awesome benefits to kick in. Not at Hitachi Energy. They value all their employees, even the new ones, which is why pay starts at $21 to $25 an hour with a $3,000 phased signing bonus and benefits day one. Hitachi Energy not only inspires the world, you inspire them. Apply today in Jefferson City or online, hitachienergy.com/careers. Inspire your future. Inspire the next. Hitachi Energy. Hitachi Energy is inspiring the next workforce to power the world, and it all starts with their facility. It's climate controlled for all seasons, which means it will always be a comfortable place to work. Not everybody can say that. Let Hitachi inspire the next step in your career. Hitachi Energy's pay starts $21 an hour and benefits starting day one. Apply today in Jeff City or online, hitachienergy.com/careers. Inspire your future. Inspire the next. Hitachi Energy.
People are talking about Branden Rathert.
He's a jackass.
This is Wake Up Columbia, 93.9 The Eagle.
It is going to be a tsunami here. They know that I'm the former Attorney General running against another former Attorney General incumbent, and that matchup is tailor-made to fight for secure borders, to fight for our law and order, and we're going to beat Senator Masto in November. It's going to be one of the biggest Senate races in America.
Adam Laxalt, Republican Senate hopeful out of Nevada, getting us into today's daily D.C. rundown because Stephanie's been keeping a wicked eye on some of these races of national interest. Do want to mention this really quick, though. Boone County Joint Communications telling us tractor trailer on fire westbound I-70 at the BB Rocheport exit, creating traffic backups. Right now, traffic is already slow.
That Nevada race is important. It is expected to be one that we might be able to flip. The conservatives might be able to flip. And Adam there, Laxalt, is endorsed by President Donald Trump. He is facing a challenger, but two other folks who aren't endorsed by President Trump that I'm watching are Representatives Nancy Mace and Tom Rice. They were both critical of Trump after January 6th in South Carolina. They're both facing more conservative challengers. And so, again, we hear this, I think, every Tuesday for the last 4 or 5 months. It's a test of Trump's endorsement power. But importantly for Missouri, Trump has not made an endorsement. And so I think folks in Missouri are watching how these things pan out and deciding, do we want Trump to get involved? Would we rather him stay out? How would that affect our own race here?
And coming up at 6:35 when Christopher Arps is here, we revealed some very interesting polling numbers in our Missouri U.S. Senate race as it relates to Trump endorsements. If you missed that, no worries, man. We got your back at 6:35.
Also, we're kind of on a bad news bend this morning, but we are officially in a bear market. If you don't know the official definition of a bear market, it's a term when the S&P or another major index has fallen 20% or more from a recent high for a sustained period of time. The last time, so right now we're 21.8% below the record set earlier this year. The last time we were in a bear market, February of 2020. So we're back in COVID times, apparently. So not a good day yesterday for the market. If you haven't looked at your holdings, just don't do it. Don't do it. January 6th stuff continues. I guess most of the folks around Trump were saying he's detached from reality, and the hearings will continue this week.
But wasn't that one of the things that we liked? Isn't that why I voted for Trump 3 times? Because he was kind of detached from, in a good way, kind of. And we're going to highlight some of this stuff coming up. Christopher Arps going to be joining us here, 6:35 here on Wake Up Columbia 93.9 The Eagle. By the way, big event coming up. Not this Feel Good Friday, next Feel Good Friday. Going to share some of those details with you before 7 o'clock here on the show.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. It's primary day in Maine, Nevada, North Dakota, and South Carolina.
South Carolina 1st Congressional District incumbent Nancy Mace is facing Katie Arrington in her Republican primary. Trump backed Arrington after Mace criticized the former president following January 6th. Of 6 Republicans running against 7th District incumbent Tom Rice, Trump has backed state lawmaker Russell Fry. Rice voted to impeach Trump.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. Police in Duncanville, Texas, shot and killed a man who fired gunshots at a kid's day camp.
Police say the man entered the lobby of the Duncanville field house and fired a shot during a discussion with a staff member. The gunman then tried to enter a classroom containing children, but the door was locked. He fired one shot into the door, then went to the gym, which also contained children. That's when police arrived and shot the man in an exchange of gunfire. Police say no children, staff, or officers were hurt.
Fox's Tom Rigotti. America's listening to Fox News.
And now award-winning local news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 6:31, and we are going to have another hot day today. It's already 77 right now in Columbia. On our way to a high of around 96 degrees. A heat advisory is in effect. More on that in just a moment. Good morning. Here's some of the stories that we are working on for you in this 6 o'clock hour. And we begin this hour with some breaking news as Joint Communications in Boone County is telling 93.9 The Eagle that a tractor trailer is on fire right now at the westbound I-70 lanes near the BB Roachport exit. Traffic backups right now. ABC 17's Megan Drakis has a crew on-scene video showing a FedEx truck is on fire. Now, the traffic is already an issue because one westbound lane on the bridge is closed until 7 this morning anyway. That is due to concrete work, so be prepared for some delays. Avoid the area if at all possible. Columbia School Board briefed in detail about CPS building security and about Narcan.
Columbia Public Schools says Narcan is now available in all CPS high schools as well as all secondary schools. Narcan is used to treat opioid overdoses in emergency situations. The school board heard a detailed presentation last night on the district's safety and security upgrades since 2018. The board also learned that all CPS staff participate in training and drills every year, which is now required by law. CPS also participates in fire, earthquake, and severe weather drills like tornado drills. Don Luzader, Zimmer News Network.
Don, thank you. A Fulton man sentenced to 74 years in prison. A 2019 drug-related killing of a meth dealer in Calwood and Columbia will reduce the cashier drive-through window hours starting July 5th. News brought to you by MidAmericaMortgage.us, 633. Turning our attention now to sports. If you're heading to Busch Stadium today, make sure you stay hydrated because it is going to be a tough one today for the fans, for the players. Don't forget the umpires as well, especially the guy behind home plate. That's going to be a tough duty today. Cardinals beat the Pirates last night at Busch Stadium 7-5. Goldschmidt tie-breaking home run in the 7th inning. Cardinals 14 hits. Dylan Carlson homering for St. Louis. 1-game lead in the National League Central Division. Cardinals and Pirates doubleheader today at Busch. First game 12:15, second one 6:45. Pre-game coverage this morning 11:20 on 93.9 The Eagle. Again, if you're a fan, make sure you stay hydrated today, or at least as much in the shade if at all possible. 2 games for you today here on The Eagle. Giants beat the Royals last night 6-2. Game 2 in the series is tonight at Oracle Field in San Francisco. Sports brought to you by Betts Jewelers, downtown Columbia. 93.9 The Eagle news time is 6:34. Traffic check, MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com. Find a job, post your job opening today. Our roads have been busy this morning. Again, a tractor trailer on fire on westbound I-70 at the BB Roachport exit. It has been a FedEx truck on fire, creating traffic issues. We're not aware of any injuries right now. At least I've not been told about any injuries right now, but it is causing traffic issues, so avoid that area anyway. And it's already backed up because of the work going on. They're doing concrete work on the bridge, so it's been backed up anyway this morning. Just avoid that area if at all possible. They'll stop working on the bridge at 7 o'clock this morning, go back out at 7 o'clock tonight. Another update, it's 7:03. We have breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
The radio station, 93.9 The Eagle. The show, Wake Up Columbia, with Branden Rathert, Stephanie Bell, Brian Hauswirth, and Hannah the producer, giving you news, analysis, and opinion.
Chris.
Hi, I'm Becky Arps, and I am so excited that you get to experience a bit of the thoughts I hear every single day. Enjoy.
Chris.
I think everyone's assessment in the room, at least amongst the staff, Mark Short, myself, and Greg Jacob, was that it was not sufficient to be outcome determinant.
Matt Morgan, former Trump campaign attorney, saying, here's what I told the president. There is not enough stuff there. That came out in the January 6th committee hearing yesterday. Meanwhile, and we want to talk to Chris more about that here shortly on 93.9 The Eagle. Gail Blomenkamp, Boone County Fire Protection District. Kind of an interesting story on what's happening with this FedEx truck on fire.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we just got a text that Gail Blomenkamp, I should say, texted you, Branden, and this is an update on the situation out on I-70 right now at Route Double B and Roachport. He says no injuries, no other vehicles are involved. According to Gail, the FedEx driver unhooked the rear trailer, pulled forward, and unhooked the trailer on fire, and apparently was unable to do anything after that. So that is the situation right now, and just obviously, I don't believe anybody was hurt, but hopefully that driver's okay. I mean, that's that truck. It sounds like really has a lot of damage to it, though.
And it was a FedEx truck.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I hate to say, well, if this truck catches, if you got a truck full of live chickens on fire, that's more important than a FedEx truck on fire. But I'm thinking of all the people that won't be getting their packages. But apparently it was one of the second or third trailer caught on fire. Truck driver sees it's on fire, pulls over, gets out, detaches the third trailer, and pulls forward, man.
Yeah.
Is that standard training procedure, do you think? Like, how do you know how to do that?
Yeah, I don't know exactly.
Welcome into the show. There he is, Mr. Christopher Arps, live from the Gulf Coast this morning. Where are you today exactly along the Gulf?
Where's my theme? What the hell's going on here?
Okay, so we played it, but here you go.
Chris.
Hi, I'm Becky Arps, and I am so excited that you get to experience a bit of the thoughts I hear every single day.
I love that from your wife.
Now it feels normal.
Single.
Now I feel normal. I'm in the Bonita Springs, Florida, in the Fort Myers area.
So
I'm sure you know this area well.
Yeah, I do. And what are you doing in Florida? Is it a working trip for you, or are you vacationing?
It's a / business recreation trip. I'm here representing my organization, Americans for Citizens Voting. We have a quarterly meeting with the different groups that are in this coalition, Election Integrity Coalition, I like to call it. So we have having our quarterly meeting. Working
trip, business trip / vacation is French for tax write-off. Chris Arps.
That too, I have to admit. Thank you.
So I know you were working a little bit yesterday. Here's my takeaway from the January 6th hearings yesterday. There is nothing new. You've got more and more people that will in Trump's camp saying, listen, we told them there is nothing to these claims of election fraud. And I know right now a lot of the folks in the Wake Up Columbia audience, they get mad at me because, well, there was fraud. And listen, this thing has been going on for well over a year and a half. Judges, attorneys, people now, we saw this yesterday in Trump's camp saying, listen, there was not fraud there. And people say, well, have you seen the movie 2,000 Mules? And it's on my list, Chris. I'm watching it right after Fahrenheit 9/11. And don't be mad at me. Those are just my opinions. There has not been anything to prove. And a movie from Dinesh D'Souza, and I love the guy. He's been on my show in other parts of the country before. Yeah. It's simply not there. And I think for the betterment of Republicans, we got to quit talking about that, because here's why: the politically unhoused, middle of the roads, the independents. I mean, I keep looking at that stuff going, oh, y'all still hanging your hat on election fraud 2020? Yeah, that ain't for us. We're going to move over to this side. That's my take. What's your take?
I agree with you with that, Brandon. I think there were a lot of shenanigans that were involved in 2020 election. Mules 2000 showed some of that. But as I was last night at a reception here with part of the coalition, one of them is the Republican Lawyers Association. And there was a gentleman, and he's not speaking on their behalf. He's speaking for himself. But he saw the movie 2,000 Mules, and he said it was very compelling, but as an attorney, there was not enough there to really take to court, or there was a lot of holes there and questions that he had that were not answered in the movie. So I think we have to move on. These January 6 hearings are just a dog and pony show to try to help the Democrats in the fall and to damage Trump for 2024. But we haven't learned anything new. And what people are forgetting, that the Democrats are alleging or charging that President Trump and his administration conspired with other groups to purposely overthrow the election. That's their charges. And that's impossible to prove. It's not true. And this shows just what a dog and pony show this is.
All right. Chris Arps from the website chrisarps.com is joining us.
Sir. Hey, whatever you want to call it.
People will find
It'll get there.
You'll get there. And by the way, it's a really good website. It's not like one of those things where once a week he posts a blog. There's a lot of stuff on there. Plus, you see him on Newsmax all the time. And
I'm opinionated.
He's very opinionated. Just ask his wife, Becky. She will tell you that. And as we look at our Senate race, because there's a lot of different ways to look at this, and I know that you get access to the same polls that Stephanie's been able to get her hands on. And one of the things I find interesting in one of the latest Emerson College polling that they did with the Hill, the numbers of undecideds. The only question that got more response in this poll, Eric Greitens leads the candidates, and this is the third significant polling for what polls are worth, third one in a row that shows him in the lead, which surprises me. But the other thing that's to me more surprising than that, the only thing that got more response than Eric Greitens, the number of undecideds, and then the number of folks that'll say, Trump endorsement in this particular race does matter and doesn't matter. And I want to quote here, former President Donald, this is directly from Emerson. This is what we have from the college here. Former President Trump's endorsement would make 49% of likely Republican primary voters more likely to support a candidate, while 41% say it makes no difference on their vote. 10% say it would make them less likely to support a candidate if they got. So you've got 51% of the folks saying a Trump endorsement just does not matter in the 2022 U.S. Senate race.
And I think part of that is just because of who the front runner is, Eric Greitens, right now. I mean, in any other race, if Trump supports that candidate, they've got a very good chance of winning. But I think there's just so much baggage that is connected to Greitens that his endorsement may not have as much of an impact. I've been reading on Facebook, one of my colleagues at the radio station did an editorial that said that you should vote, even if you don't like Greitens, you should vote for him in the general if he is the elected or if he wins the primary, because we don't want to give the seat to a Democrat. And I'm telling you, he's been ripped on that editorial, and a lot of people, male, female, are saying there's just better conservatives, Republicans are just saying there's just no way that they can vote for Eric Greitens. And what I'm fearful of, Branden, in this August primary is that we're going to have a bunch of Democrats that are going to vote in the Republican primary and help put Eric Greitens over the top. That's my biggest fear right now, because I think Trudy Bush Valentine, I think she's probably going to be the Democratic nominee. Most Democrats know that. And so they're going to say, what do we have to lose? We will play in the Republican primary and put Greitens up and do the Claire McCaskill strategy of choosing your opponent.
Now, my hypothesis is that Greitens won't get much of the undecided vote, that if you're currently undecided, if you're not already in his camp, that you're not just going to, in late July, pick Greitens over the other candidates. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree with that 100%. But I do think that if Trump endorses, I think he could get a slice of those undecideds, but I don't think the majority.
Okay.
All right, Christopher Arps, chrisarps.com. By the way, it was funny. We were talking last week, the arrogance in some local St. Louis politicians, people in high places on the Board of Aldermen. I'm not resigning. I know I was allegedly taking money to curry political favor with people and to give them favors in exchange for some pocket cash. I ain't resigning. And like 48 hours after you and I and Stephanie were hanging out here on the show, he resigned.
Well, he should. And I think, as I mentioned, and I believe this with all my heart, I think that prosecutors don't take too kindly to people that are politicians and they're caught in corruption and graft, and they don't resign. And I think they end up telling the defendant, hey, if you resign, show some honor. We may cut you some slack here and there. If you don't, we're going to really go after you. So I think it was a wise decision for him.
Chris Arps. Website is ChristopherArps.com. As a matter of fact, and by the way, it's updated all the time, and there's links because Chris also does a lot of writing for the conservative publication RedState.com. Very fine publication. Water Cooler Politics with Chris, and you can see pictures of his lovely wife, Becky, the one you hear every Tuesday morning at 6:35. Who says basically is what she's saying is like, "Oh crap, you got to listen to Chris again." That's what Becky says in your intro. Listen, we're going to let you get back to your tax write-off there in Florida for your thing. And by the way, Chris also has a radio show in the afternoons in St. Louis with former Speaker of the House of Missouri, Tim Jones. I think it's just really cool what's happened to you. When's the next time we see you on Newsmax TV?
Actually, Thursday. They've already confirmed me for it. So 5:30, 6, and 7. You can catch me on Newsmax on the Political Power Panel. Really have a ball doing that.
Chris Arps, ChristopherArps.com. We love you, man.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
All right. We will see you coming up about 5. By the way, Boone County Joint Communications says tractor trailer currently on fire westbound I-70 BB Rocheport exit. So we've been watching that for you this morning. So if that's part of your traffic route, do want to give you a quick update from Mr. Gail Blomenkamp with the Boone County Fire Protection District. About 10 minutes ago, he sent me a message, says no injuries, no other vehicles involved. The FedEx driver unhooked the rear trailer, pulled forward, and unhooked the trailer on the fire and was able to get the tractor away. Fire is knocked down. No serious traffic issues. BB exit westbound is closed. We know there's construction. It's kind of already a hectic area as they are doing that bridge. Coming up a little bit after 7 o'clock. Now, this is not on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page. This is kind of on Brian Hauswirth's 93.9 The Eagle page, posted about potential changes, and they're coming. We heard this for the very first time right here on Wake Up Columbia last week with MoDOT. All they would say is, yeah, there's something coming at 63 and 70, and folks have been responding to what they would potentially like to see there. Not everybody's happy about it, but we might share some of that coming up. I think 7:10 this morning on Wake Up Columbia 93.9 The Eagle. We will do that for you. Coming up 5 minutes from now, there have been 27 of these in American history, 27 in the history of the United States.
Wake Up Columbia with an eye on the world and a focus on you. 93.9 The Eagle.
The red flag laws are nothing more than a green light for gun confiscation. And why in the world would we give more power to the same people who are willing to arrest folks in the name of safety in an emergency for taking their kids to a playground during COVID and locking down businesses?
Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmidt, obviously, 2022 U.S. Senate candidate. He was on with Tucker Carlson last night talking about this framework of apparently some agreed-upon legislation regarding guns. Welcome into the show, by the way, and pretty much the previous pollings, back to our conversation with Chris Arps, our 2022 U.S. Senate race, 27% latest polling. This one, Emerson College and the Hill saying 27% of voters undecided at this point. Most of the polls pretty much would show Hartzler, Schmidt, Hartzler, 3 in a row. Now showed Greitens in the lead. And I'm wondering, so we talk, let's say back to the Trump endorsement thing. Would it make that much of a difference? Let's say if Trump endorsed like a Billy Long, who's consistently fourth. I think he's polling in the single digits for what polls are worth. Let's say Trump comes out and endorses, let's say, Billy Long. Does that elevate Billy Long into the lead?
No.
I agree, because I think most people are saying, you know what, I'm going to vote. And there are still some, well, I'm going to wait to see who Trump endorses. But it's interesting when people talk about those Trump endorsements, I ask people, okay, do you know who you're voting for? Okay. And then if Trump endorsed a candidate different than the person that you are voting for, would that change the way you vote? And the answer I get most often,
no.
Welcome into the show. It's Wake Up Columbia. That's Stephanie. Hannah, the producer, is here. Brian Hauswirth is here. Earlier, semi on fire, 70 Rocheport Bridge area. And that area is already kind of jacked up because they're redoing the bridge there. Apparently, we got the fire out, but traffic had been kind of slow going. Brian will have another update coming up for you at 7:03. There have been 27 of these in American history. 27. We're 200 plus years old. 27 different flags. Been 27 different versions of the American flag. This according to National Flag Foundation. It is June the 14th. It's Flag Day. Never considered it that way. From the 1777 original that had 13 stars, 13 stripes for the colonies, there have been changes and iterations of the flag over the years. Each time a state was added to the Union, a star was added. And of course, now we stand with 50 stars and 13 stripes. Unless you were in Washington, D.C. yesterday and maybe even today. Muriel Bowser, the mayor there, she's hanging up flags that have 51 stars because they want statehood for D.C. So even though there are not 51 states in the nation, she's been putting up flags with 51 stars because they want. And listen, here's their argument. Well, you know what? We have 700,000 people. We don't get a vote in Congress. They have a representative, I think, in the House of Representatives, but they don't get to vote. And I might be wrong. They might be in the Senate, but they don't get a vote. And that's been their argument. And the argument from the smart people as well, Washington, D.C. was established within the Constitution, so you just can't. It's going to take some kind of constitutional ratification to change that. As we talk about Flag Day, it reminds me two things. Central Missouri Honor Flight. There is a homecoming coming up Monday night. We'll have more details on that. And, of course, that precedes our annual 93.9 The Eagles Central Missouri Honor Flight Radiothon with Diamond Pet Foods. More info on our website, 93.9 The Eagle. Service Master of Columbia, Jiffy Lube, Graff & Sons helping us out with that this year. Check it out online, 939theeagle.com. Hello, I am Branden Rathert for Gaps Automotive Repair Shop. One of the things we've suggested to cut down to help lower fuel costs, you can do things. You can drive slower, make sure your tires are properly inflated. And I obviously facetiously suggested yesterday, keep the AC off in your car. Well, you don't want to do that when you've got a temp of 99 and it feels like it's 197 degrees outside. You don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Air conditioning, if it's not the way it should be running, maybe you've turned it on for the first time in the past few days. I'm like, I don't know. Is it just that hot or is it not working as well as it could be? If it's whatever it is, whatever you think it is, take it to Gap's Automotive Repair Shop. Start establishing a relationship with these folks. I did that several years ago with my car that is 16 years old, and I love it because they know my car because it's the same few local mechanics that are working on it. Check them out. Gap's Automotive Repair Shop in Columbia and in Boonville.
Another gauge of inflation. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. We'll get it in a half hour. A measure of wholesale prices also expected to show a surge over last year like consumer prices, something the Federal Reserve is considering in a two-day meeting that'll lead to another interest rate hike.
With inflation at a four-decade high of 8.6%, Fed officials are likely this year to boost borrowing rates even higher than was expected just weeks ago. The central bank may also signal, when its policy meeting ends tomorrow, the possibility of raising rates to a level that could weaken growth, elevating the risk of a recession.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. At the stock market, futures have been rising, coming off another massive sell-off, while gas hits another record high. AAA has it up another fraction further above 501 per gallon for regular. President Biden will go to Saudi Arabia next month. Oil and gas among the topics he'll discuss.
The White House said he was invited by Saudi King Salman, but some outlets report the president will also meet with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The president harshly criticized the Saudis after a U.S. intel report linked the prince to the killing of Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi.
Fox's Jill Nato. The president will go to Israel first. It's primary day in 4 states, Maine, Nevada, North Dakota, and South Carolina, where 2 Trump-backed Republicans are challenging 2 House members for being critical of the former president. Katie Arrington wants to unseat Congresswoman Nancy Mace, who tells Fox,
I've never voted to raise taxes, and I'm running against someone who voted for the highest tax hike with Democrats in South Carolina history.
Congressman Tom Rice being targeted because he voted to impeach Trump after the Capitol riot. Now, the House committee investigating that riot has 2 more hearings this week, but Fox's Griff Jenkins says the Democratic chairman's upset others on the committee, saying
that the panel will not issue any criminal referrals when it comes to President Trump or anyone else for that matter, saying the committee's job is simply to examine the facts and will leave it up to the DOJ to decide.
Other committee members say they have not concluded that yet. America's listening to Fox News.
After 9/11, Ben Harrow couldn't wait to enlist in the Army. But in Afghanistan, Ben stepped on an IED while leading an anti-terrorism mission. Ben survived, but lost both of his legs above the knee, 2 fingers, and sustained injuries to his right forearm. Ben now lives in a smart home from the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, which gave him back his independence despite his severe physical challenges. Help heroes like Ben. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with expertise and tools with Windows 11 to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. To do more with a Latitude laptop, Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 7:03. Right now we do have partly sunny skies. We're already at 78 degrees here in Columbia. It is going to be a hot day today. Sunny, our high about 96 degrees. We We have pollen in the air, a lot of that as well, and it's going to continue to get hot throughout the day. Hot again tomorrow, and then finally we'll get a little bit of a break, and the advisory will go away on Thursday through the weekend, and then we'll get a little bit of cooler weather. More on that in just a moment. Good morning, everyone. I'm Brian Hauswirth. Here are some of the stories we are working on for you in the 7 o'clock hour. A quick update here on our situation with the tractor trailer on westbound I-70. It is still tying up traffic near the Route Double B Roachport exit on I-70. Our news partner, ABC 17, had video of the scene showing a FedEx truck on fire. Just got a text from Gail Blumenkamp saying there's nothing new since he reported last to Branden, telling us about the situation there. So again, the traffic already was a little bit backed up due to the fact of the fire, and also due to the fact that one lane of that bridge was closed until 7 o'clock this morning due to concrete work, so be prepared for that if you're in that area. No reports of any injuries at this time. Columbia School Board listening to a detailed presentation about numerous safety and security upgrades at the district in the past 4 years. Board discussing the issue at Monday's meeting. They learned that progress has been made on proximity card readers. CPS has only 6 buildings that remain. They now have 1,300 cameras in the district. Columbia and Jefferson City are under a heat advisory through tomorrow evening. National Weather Service St. Louis meteorologist Matt Beitcher.
Heat advisory is issued by our office when the maximum heat index for any period of time meets or exceeds 105 degrees. That means that a combination of heat and humidity would make the temperature feel like 105 degrees in the shade.
The NWS is urging you to stay hydrated, to take frequent breaks as well. A different meteorologist, Alex Elmore, in St. Louis this morning, telling us that cooler air will move into central Missouri on Thursday, bringing cooler temperatures to the area on Friday. And by cooler, we mean they'll still be in the 90s, but humidity and dew points will be lower. And he says that will certainly feel better. But the bad news is the heat will return again early next week on Monday. A Fulton man has received a decades-long sentence in a 2019 drug-related murder.
A Fulton man will spend the rest of his life behind bars after being convicted of murder in a 2019 drug deal gone bad. 51-year-old Justin Ray Witt draws a 74-year prison term in the shooting death of Nathan Pritchett Jr. A Boone County jury found him guilty in March. John Marsh, Zimmer News Network.
John, thanks. A St. Louis resident who is seeking Missouri's GOP U.S. Senate nomination is saying that he will begin radio advertising shortly across the state. Mark McCloskey telling Wake Up Columbia that he is focusing his campaign on small donations from regular citizens, but he tells our listeners he needs an influx of cash.
I need to be able to combat the guys that have the billionaire big bucks behind them. I need to be able to get out there and send our message to the voters.
He tells listeners he's put 90,000 miles on his vehicle in 54 weeks, campaigning in all of Missouri's 114 counties. You can hear the full interview with McCloskey on our website. It's 939theeagle.com. And you'll notice new hours next month. Columbia's drive-through cashier office behind City Hall. It's a drive-through window providing you with an opportunity to pay your utility bill. Get a receipt as well. It's open weekdays, 7:30 to 5:30. Citing the limited usage, the city will change those hours effective July 5th to 8 to 5. Those will be the same hours as the lobby inside. And that window, if you haven't been there, is basically behind City Hall, and it's a drive-through window. You're able to get a receipt there as well. Our news is brought to you this morning by the Candy Factory in downtown Columbia. You can learn more at thecandyfactoryonline.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:07. In sports, the Cardinals beat the Pirates Monday evening at Busch 7-5. Goldschmidt had a big home run in the 7th inning, the tie-breaking home run for the Cardinals, who had 14 hits in the game. Carlson also a home run for St. Louis. Cardinals lead the Brewers by a game in the National League Central in the NL Central Division. So there was one game that was basically lost to the schedule back in April due to rain, and they said at the time they'd make it up today. So that'll be the early game, if you will, part of this doubleheader today at Busch Stadium. 2 games today. First one at 12:15. Second one about 6:45 this evening. Pre-game coverage on our first game this morning, 11:20. Tom Ackerman at KMOX right here on 93.9 The Eagle will have your pre-game coverage. Giants beat the Royals last night 6-2. Game 2 in their series is tonight at Oracle Field. And the Warriors beat the Celtics last night in the NBA Finals, Game 5. Golden State now is up 3-2 in that series. Game 6 coming up later on in the NBA Finals. And our sports is brought to you this hour by Lacrosse Lumber. You can apply now for a full and part-time delivery driver position. Great benefits. Lacrosse Lumber in Columbia. Our news time, 7:08. All right, John, thanks. Great work this morning on television with Megan. Right now, sunny in Columbia, 78. Traffic check, MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com. Find a job, post your job opening today. Again, a reminder for those of you who are in the Roachport area, we've had a FedEx truck that has been on fire. They put the fire out, but there are still authorities on the scene right now, westbound I-70 at the Double B Roachport exit, and the road work is wrapped up for the morning out on the bridge. It had closed one lane, but they'll be back out again tonight, weather permitting, from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. So be prepared for that. Again, that FedEx truck has been on fire. It's been put out, but they're still on scene there on I-70, and that's the westbound lanes as well. Another update, bottom of the hour, breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Okay, America, that's enough. Just stop piling on Joe Biden, okay? Stop blaming him for everything, okay? Inflation, fine. Maybe it's partly him. Gasoline prices, fine. Blame him. But you cannot blame him for the baby formula shortage. No, because he drinks Ensure, not Enfamil. Okay, America, that's enough.
That's
good.
That was a right-hand turn real quick. That is comedian Mark Yaffe, Yaffee. As a matter of fact, got a pretty good website. It's pretty good. Now, so we've got shortages on chips for cars, shortages, baby formula. And I love some of the local efforts, folks coming together to try to help show, hey, parents, here's where we're finding baby formula. Shortages in some parts of the country, shortages on diesel fuel. Shortages on tampons now. As a matter of fact, our news partners, ABC 17, chatting with the folks at True North, who relies very heavily on donations for these types of things. And they're saying, here's when we have shortages on things like that. And when we're a charitable organization and we're relying on the kindness of others, that stuff, it affects us. And if I just wish there was more we could do to help, because big question, okay, so when does all this end? What's the end in sight? And I don't know.
No one really does. It's just, and you mentioned True North. We will do a radiothon for them later this summer, which will be wonderful. But that impacts that impacts a charity like that. It hits them very hard, as you can imagine. They're serving people who they have literally the clothes on their backs, many of them, and the children when they come in. Marina did a very nice job, Diaz, on that piece last night, by the way. For people who missed it, I encourage them to go to their website. It was very well done to take that story and to localize it. I thought it was very powerful.
So here might be some hope. So the January 6th hearings yesterday, what we learned is more and more people inside. And I don't understand what they're doing on the 6th hearing. And if you saw it, would like to know your thoughts. Here's my thoughts. They keep showing that, hey, there's more and more people in Trump's circle who are saying, hey, listen, there's no fraud that would have overturned this election here. And you have his attorneys, advisors, people like that all saying the same thing. I still don't get how they're tying Trump. It was Trump's fault those people went and attacked the Capitol. I don't get that. Now, following the hearings yesterday, Trump put out a statement. Some are kind of characterizing it as that he is all but announcing he's running in 2024. White House spokesperson Karine Jean-Pierre, she's actually White House press secretary. Maybe is this some good news? Is this some hope when asked about whether or not Joe Biden would run again in 2024?
His answer has been pretty simple, which is yes, he's running for re-election.
Oh, boy. You know, I have doubts about this man making it through a 4-year term. I don't know about 2 4-year terms.
I have doubts about him waking up from his afternoon nap today, man. That's where it is. And then Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, he was on Fox and Friends yesterday morning.
All right, Governor, let's cut the small talk here. 2022 is coming up, 2024. We know former President Trump is considering a run. We know your name is atop that list as well. Where does that all sit in your mind right now?
And the audio cut off, so I don't know how he answered the question. No, he didn't answer the question in true political fashion. He says, "Well, here's what's going on." So he didn't answer the question. So those are big takeaways from the January 6th hearing. Nobody can still say Trump is responsible for what those people did at the Capitol. It's just, again, last ditch effort because they know the Democratic Party. Democrats know they're getting trounced coming up in November. One of the things that happened last week here on the show, MoDOT. We were talking about 63 and Grindstone, some of the changes. And if you come down Providence, man, rush hour traffic trying to head north on 63, you know what a cluster that can be. And the new homes that are going back down New Haven, and then this industrial park area at 63 and Grindstone is growing. One of the things we learned, really one of the first, and we know there's always talk about it, but one of the big things we learned, you first heard right here on Wake Up Columbia 93.9 The Eagle, we asked Mr. Osman from MoDOT, he said, what's happening with 6370? And I forget his exact words, but it was something to the effect of, it's huge.
And something's coming soon is what he said.
Something's coming soon. And so Brian Hauswirth posted on the 93.9 The Eagle Facebook page about this, and folks been kind of offering their thoughts, because you know what that's at 6370, which, by the way, according to previous Columbia Daily Tribune reporting, I think the interchange there, maybe somebody knows better than me, 874-9390, but based on, stop it, Hannah.
I'm sure many people do.
Based on Columbia Daily Tribune reporting, I think construction on the 6370 interchange was spring of 2004. So that's 18 years ago.
Yeah. That's I wasn't here. I was in St. Louis at that time. That sounds about good, by the way, on the math. That is good.
Gold star, Branden.
Wait, he's got his calculator pulled up on the computer screen.
So, and I don't know, because I'm not a road engineer, but less than 20, that doesn't seem like very long for such a massive project to already saying, hey, there's got to be some big undertaking happening here.
Yeah, I think your point is very well taken. You're right. He did announce, Osman, that he was going to have some bigger news to announce at that time. The last time he had him on the show, I did follow up with him on that at the New Haven hearing the other night, or public hearing, and really more of an open house. And what he meant by that is there's going to be a broader public meeting in late July here in Columbia about what to do with that interchange.
So what are people saying on Facebook? Just us regular Joe Schmoes?
There are a lot of people who are commenting. I encourage people to go because I'm interacting with some of them, getting their thoughts about this 93.9 The Eagle Facebook page.
Yeah, so this is not the Wake Up Columbia
Correct.
Facebook page. It's the 93.9 The Eagle Facebook page.
Yeah, just a couple of observations. Really, I'll read two of them. They're both very short. This is Michael Bardwell, and this is a very common comment that we have heard. Quote, the Clark Lane intersection, everything about it sucks from any direction, end of quote. I'm hearing a lot about that. And then we also have heard from people that want to know why there isn't a clover leaf in that area. Should have been planned out. And the biggest complaint we're hearing is that people are upset that all those businesses on Clark Lane were allowed to build so close to the interstate. Now, keep in mind that a lot of that happened. I mean, Bob Evans, I know, opened in 1994.
What year did Cracker Barrel open? Your favorite restaurant?
Oh yeah, that was back in the 90s, I believe, and maybe even before that. But it's in other words, they've been there a long time. But you do have room to work with over there. The problem is going to be two things. Number one, funding. We don't know how much funding they're going to get. Carl Scala, he has said very openly they need to use ARPA money to do it. He wants to see a clover leaf, but even he says right now, just because of those businesses being so close, they're not sure that they can do it. So MoDOT right now they're basically reviewing their environmental impact statement, and they're looking at it's not just that, they're looking at the corridor between Route B, if people know Route B, all the way to Route Z. And all that's important, but the 7063 connector is the biggest thing. But I'd encourage people to give their feedback here. But more importantly than on our Facebook page, they need to let MoDOT know what they want.
Okay, but going back to what he said on our show, he said there will be news. And now he's clarifying that the news is that they're going to have a public meeting. That doesn't really sound like news to me. News sounds like, hey, maybe there's like some extra funding we didn't know about that we can really do something. I mean, am I reading that wrong?
You're reading it correctly in that that's the news is that they're having a hearing, and I definitely don't want to overestimate what he is saying as far as them reviewing, Stephanie, the environmental impact statement. But the bottom line, the fact that they're doing that right now and looking at that whole corridor is a development in itself.
They're not doing it because they're bored.
No.
There's an end game in mind.
There's an end game, and and the other thing about that is they are limited in what they can do because of everything that is close to that. I mean, to take out some of those businesses we're talking about a lot of money to do that. And they don't have a whole lot of room there to operate either.
Well, and Carl Scala said we should use ARPA money at that interchange. Why don't you, the city is proposing that they raise your water rates. Why don't you propose they use ARPA money to keep them from raising your water rates? Go to the website, beheardcomo.gov, because right now there's a questionnaire on how you think ARPA money should be spent in Columbia, and I highly encourage you to go to have your say-so. Stephanie and I covered this last week because I feel like a lot, and I went through and I took the survey, and most of my answers were, here's what you do with the ARPA money. For every single city councilor, city council person listening right now, Wayner, Fowler, Pitzer, Scala, Peters, Barbara Buffalo, I'm sure I'm missing somebody there.
Oh, I think you've got them.
Here's what you do. You take that ARPA money and you give it to all the businesses that you screwed over the past 2 years. I get tired still of hearing, well, what COVID did to local businesses, COVID didn't do that. City leaders shutting down businesses. That's where you put the ARPA money to. Or instead of raising our water rates, do something there with that ARPA money. 874-9390. Les, what's up, buddy?
Branden, everybody who lives in Columbia knew when that 6370 interchange opened, it was already obsolete. It was already a nightmare. They built two bridges going north and south on 63 to alleviate a little pressure. But those businesses that are there now wanted that choke point going from 70 to 63 and 63 to 70. With Clark Lane and PP right there and all that local traffic, the city of Columbia uses the interstate system and the state system highways as their own city streets. There is no way to seamlessly go from 63 to 70, from 70 to 63 without going through a bunch of stoplights. Everybody in this town knew that interchange, it was obsolete when it was made. It never should have been made. It never should have spent the money at that time. All those businesses at that time, 20 years ago, should have been bought out, wiped out, and a big cloverleaf put in. That should have happened then. Now we're stuck with the highway department just wasting money. Let's go do this again. Is this busy work? The city of Columbia needs to learn how to not use state highways as city streets. These state highways should be actually turned over to the city. Here, you use Stadium as a city street. You use 60 Clark Lane as a city street. That's not what they're doing. That was obsolete when it opened.
And then they take the city streets and turn them into bee/fish sanctuaries. Les, thank you for the phone call. 874-9390. 874-9390. Running out of time. I got to move forward here. Getting ready for What's Hot with Hannah. What is coming up about 7:25-ish? What do you got for us?
Everybody loves stories of dumb criminals, right? Yeah.
Catch Wake Up Columbia on demand anytime, all the time at 939theeagle.com.
Good morning, 7:25-ish, which means it's
7:28.
time for What's Hot with Hannah.
We all love a good dumb criminal story, right?
I love those.
Oh, yeah. So an Indianapolis murder suspect tried to say, oh, no, I didn't murder my friend.
Wasn't me.
I didn't murder this drug dealer.
To quote Shaggy, wasn't me.
Unfortunately, he forgot that he had an ankle monitor on from a previous little stint that he had done. And the police very quickly were able to track him back to the place of the crime. And they said, well, that's weird because you were at the murder scene at the exact time that we think he died.
Wasn't me.
Huh.
Interesting. You know what? What I might do then, coming up like 5 minutes from now, and I didn't know that that's what you were going to do with What's Hot with Hannah, because I love that, because now people probably talk about it at work today. They'll say, hey, were you listening to Wake Up Columbia? What's Hot with Hannah today? This story about this dude wearing an ankle monitor. Say he ain't did it, but he did do it. Did you hear that story? We have a 911 phone call come. I think I'll do that at 7:35 to piggyback on What's Hot with Hannah today, of this remarkably stupid criminal that's directly related to this city's policies regarding a certain law there. Yeah, let's do that. We'll do that coming up like 5 minutes from now.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. The House committee investigating the Capitol riot will not make any criminal referrals to the Justice Department, says Chairman Benny Thompson, but other members say that is undecided. Yesterday's hearing included prior video testimony from former Attorney General William Barr about election fraud claims that he calls
completely bogus and silly and usually based on complete misinformation.
Former President Trump read out a 12-page response repeating disproven claims the election was stolen from him. President Biden's on his way to Philadelphia for a speech about the economy at the AFL-CIO Labor Union Convention.
It comes at a time when Americans are paying more for goods and services. Gas prices have hit record highs, and recent consumer sentiment numbers hit a new low. It also coincides with this week's meeting of the Federal Reserve, ahead of tomorrow's expected announcement by the Fed on interest rates.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. Golden State beats Boston 107-97 to go up 3-2 in the best-of-7 NBA Finals. America's listening to Fox News.
And now award-winning local news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is partly sunny, 78 degrees right now in Columbia. We're expecting a high today of around 96 degrees. That heat advisory remains in effect. Good morning. I'm Brian Hauswirth. A quick update on our tractor trailer that has been on fire. The FedEx tractor trailer on I-70 westbound lanes, Double B, Roachport exit. Gail Blomenkamp telling 93.9 The Eagle there are no injuries in this incident right now. Now, that we do have some listeners that are saying that there's a ramp that is closed in that area. Traffic has already been slow, so be prepared for some delays. But the good news is the fire has been put out, and there are no injuries in that incident. Again, that would be on westbound I-70 at the Double B and Roachport exit. Meantime, in this 7 o'clock hour, Columbia School Board has been briefed in detail about building security and about Narcan.
Columbia Public Schools says Narcan is now available in all CPS high schools as well as all secondary schools. Narcan is used to treat opioid overdoses in emergency situations. The school board heard a detailed presentation last night on the district's safety and security upgrades since 2018. The board also learned that all CPS staff participate in training and drills every year, which is now required by law. CPS also participates in fire, earthquake, and severe weather drills like tornado drills. Don Luzader, Zimmer News Network.
Don, thanks. A Fulton man sentenced to 74 years in prison. He killed a drug dealer back in 2019. The prosecution called it murder. Defense said it was self-defense. This is 93.9 The Eagle. Turning our attention now to sports at 7:33. The Cardinals beat the Pirates Monday evening at Busch Stadium 7-5. Paul Goldschmidt had a tie-breaking home run in the 7th inning for the Cardinals, who had 14 hits in the game. Dylan Carlson also with a big home run in the game. Cardinals still with a 1-game lead in the National League Central Division over the Milwaukee Brewers. Again, they win last night over the Pirates 7-5. Cardinals and the Pirates doubleheader today at Busch Stadium. 12:15 is the first pitch. 6:45 is the second game. Ballpark, they may have to adjust that. We'll see, but that is the time that is set up right now. Our pregame coverage this morning begins at 11:20 on 93.9 The Eagle. This is not the Chuck Tanner team, the We Are Family, Willie Stargell and Omar Marino, but they play hard. There's no doubt about that, but they just don't have the payroll a lot of the other teams have. Pittsburgh Pirates haven't won a World Series since 1979. The Giants beat the Royals last night 6-2. Game 2 in their series is tonight at Oracle Field in San Francisco. Our sports brought to you by Adam Kinser, Service Master of Columbia.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:34. Traffic check, midmohires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. Midmohires.com to find a job or post your job opening today. Appreciate all the calls and texts about the FedEx truck that has been on fire this morning. The good news is, and it has tied up traffic for sure, that there are no injuries in the incident. The truck driver apparently was not hurt in that incident, but the truck obviously has a lot of damage to it. We'll have more team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
The radio station, 93.9 The Eagle. The show, Wake Up Columbia, with Branden Rathert, Stephanie Bell, Brian Hauswirth, and Hannah the producer, giving you news, analysis, and opinion.
Sort of the give and take of those discussions, and in that context, I made it clear I did not agree with the idea of saying the election was stolen and putting out this stuff, which I told the president was bullshit. And
what did you say, former Attorney General Bill Barr? Now, that's not from yesterday's testimony. That was from, I think, a video a deposition. Watched it yesterday. I was in here hanging out. Wow. So it's funny. So Gary Nolan does a great show. Gary Nolan Show, weekdays 9 to noon here on 93.9 The Eagle. And Brian Hansen, who is the star of the Gary Nolan Show. We're all hanging out in here while Gary's doing a show. We're like, I'm holding up fingers behind. I'm pestering Gary while he's trying to do this amazing show that he does every day. But I'm in here because we have these bank of monitors, which some of them sometimes you can see whenever you watch. Did you know you can watch Wake Up Columbia? Go to the YouTube channel. Just search 93.9 The Eagle. We have a channel, or you can watch it on Facebook. And so Gary's in here, and I'm messing with him the whole time, and I'm watching this thing, and a couple of big takeaways. Number one, you've got everybody in agreement. I think most of the folks in the know have, yes, there was no fraud to the point that it would have changed the election. You've got people in Trump's inner circle, and that, to me, that is nothing new. There was no voter fraud that overturned the election. As much as I wish that there was, I wish, believe me, behind Trump and behind Hannity, maybe behind Giuliani. I was one of Trump's biggest supporters. I wish more than anything that there were fraud. Wasn't. And that's more of what we heard yesterday. But and I don't get still failing to tie in, well, Trump made those people go to the Capitol and do that. Trump made them do it. It's just it's second grade stuff. It really is. You know, when you're on the playground and you're, well, so and so made me do it. You know, if you have brothers and sisters. Brian, don't you have a sister?
I do.
Was she younger or older?
She's younger.
And did you guys, Brian made me do it. Brian made me do it. I mean, that's what we did when we were kids. And that's what these Democrats in this committee and Liz Cheney, the other Democrat that's on there, that's what they made me do it. It's somebody else's fault. So that's big takeaway. They're just failing. I don't know what they're doing. Let's move forward because I want to get to some sweet audio. It's a 911 phone call. I used to play 911 phone calls a lot because they can be very powerful. And I quit doing it because a lot of times it is people at their weakest moments and stuff like this. But this 911 call that you're going to hear here in the next few minutes, I promise, Hannah and Stephanie are going to keep me on point. I promise. I will play it before Friday. I promise. No, I'll play it here in the next few minutes. Remarkable 911 audio, and it's not somebody in their worst moment in life. It's somebody taking advantage of far left policies, and I want you to be able to hear how these things work, because we know we have. And by the way, can we give a big round of applause to all these new listeners that we have on Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle?
That's
Thank
awesome.
you so much. We appreciate you checking us out, and we're not chastising you because you're here. Maybe you voted in different ways, whatever. People go, well, you guys, we thought that you were just this and that, and then they actually check it out and go, oh, okay. And so we try to explain in vivid details how these things work. And when somebody does this, this is how it works. This is how it affects you. And this is a great example of one of those things, some of these policies where we got to be easier on criminals, man. It's love and rainbows and all this stuff. And how it affects you. That's coming up. But I want to go back to 6370. MoDOT telling us last week, expect some news on 6370. Listener Les, about half an hour ago, he called. Now, 2004, whenever construction started at the 6370 interchange, that was before my Columbia time, so I was not here. But I do know this, in my years that I have now been here, people have said, just kind of in offhanded comments, like, even when they did that, like, it wasn't enough for even back then. And you can look at population numbers from 2000 to 2010 to 2020, where we are now. You can look at those and see how we have grown and how mid-Missouri has grown, how that affects traffic flows. But people have said then it wasn't enough then. I think listener Les, to sum up his phone call, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he said, we knew back then it wasn't enough. And I have heard that over the years anyway.
Yeah, and I thought his call was very powerful. There's one thing he said about the city should take over some of the state highways. Obviously, they can, that there's some legal issues there, but I think he had some very, very powerful comments. Two very quick observations on the situation. We have one listener, Janelle Schmidt-Duncan, and she says the way this should be fixed, this is on our Facebook page, 93.9 The Eagle, the actual news Facebook page. It would be fixed with an elevated exit entrance ramp directly from 63 to 70 and 70 to 63. She says the other solution is to go over the connector. We have somebody else suggesting building a bypass around Columbia. And the last point, Brandon and Stephanie, something Les said that I thought, and I hope people caught what he said, was very powerful. He was talking about the fact that in Columbia, it's difficult to get from one side of town to the other. Now, this is something very important, because if you want to go from where I live to Our Lady of Lourdes or to the mall, I almost have to take Interstate 70. I mean, there's ways to go around, but otherwise, as he said, you're going to be stuck in traffic lights and stuff like that. Wentzville, Warrenton now they're smaller, I know, but, it would take a lot. But the traffic, also the city streets are just, I'm not sure they were built for the level of traffic right now. But that is a very good point.
I mean, you're right, Brian. I said we had to go to Cosmo yesterday, and it's like we have to leave Ashland at 5 because the game starts at 6. We need to be there a little bit early, and with traffic, I mean, it takes every bit of 45 minutes to get from Ashland all the way over to Cosmo Park, which is unfortunate because, being in Ashland, we do rely on Columbia for a lot of our stuff. But I think, Columbia is not the first city to have a major interchange in the middle of the city. And so anyone who's saying, like,
good point, Steph.
Anybody who's saying, like, there's not a solution, there are a lot of creative solutions, and people have come into cities with, tight, we're pretty... From a city's perspective, we're pretty spread out, and there are some close businesses. Also, it wouldn't be the first time. I mean, we just had a roundabout go in Ashland, and they took out the hair salon and had to bump it back, and it's unfortunate, but sometimes those things have to happen. And so I think there are creative solutions to get this thing done, and I think I guess maybe the news is that we finally have a timeline. We're finally talking about it, but I think someone pointed out on the text, it's still probably a long ways off, and unfortunately, I think that's right.
And I tried to get a time frame for them on when construction would begin, and Mr. Osmond said the other night he said it was too early to do that, but he'll have more to say at the meeting in July, where we should have an idea of when, because that's the thing people want to know is when will construction start. But the 2004 project, I was here at the beginning of 04 and then moved to St. Louis for a couple of years, and as I recall, that project was a smaller, that was not a major project, going from memory on that, because I do remember reporting on it, but everybody knew at the time that wasn't the permanent solution.
That is an interesting point, though. In Colombia, it's not easy to get to from place to place.
Not at all.
And I don't see. I always thought that was just me, but I'm glad somebody said it out loud because, and I liken it to so Hannah's home base, for example, is California. California to Colombia, it's 25 miles, as the crow flies. It's 25 miles.
Ish.
But the way you have to drive, it's like 52. It's 25 miles. If you look Colombia to California, it's 25 miles. It is. Look it up. GTS it. We could run it through the disinformation board. It is 25 miles. But because of the way you have to drive, kind of I guess like some people are saying, in Colombia, there's just no easy way to get to things. Garson via text stole I was going to ask, seriously, what about this? Envision this. Close your eyes for a second, unless you're driving, then don't do that. Keep texting. Don't close your eyes while you're texting and driving at the same time. But what about a giant traffic circle? At 60, we could be in the Guinness Book of World Records. The world's biggest traffic circle and the fastest traffic circle. Bump the speed limit up to 75 miles an hour through that big old giant traffic circle at 6370.
No, thank you.
All right.
But, there's weird. I think years ago, people who know the Lake of the Ozarks would have said, that highway is flanked by businesses on both sides. 54, there is nowhere to go. There is no way to fix this. It's always going to be just plagued by traffic. And what they do, they basically built a new highway off to the side, and now you bypass all of that, and it's bizarre. You can only get off one direction, and then if you miss it, you have to come back. It took me a long time to figure out how to do that, but they found a solution, and now if you're trying to get to Camdenton, you breeze right past Osage Beach, which I think a lot of those businesses dismay that they're no longer on the highway. But that was, I think, an area where people like us who were trying to think, what's the future look like here, probably never saw that coming initially, and now, it's a solution. It got done, and it solved a lot of the traffic problems down there.
874-9390. John, what's your thought on a big, giant, the world's largest traffic circle right there at 6370 with a speed limit of 70 miles an hour?
Well, I don't know. I'm on my way south towards Ashland from Columbia on 63, and I went by the airport exit, and I know there's a traffic circle up there. And there's a huge semi with a really long trailer that I don't know if he's stuck across it or up against the poles or what. But the traffic is backed up all the way on to 63, so you can't even get off at the airport in the southbound lane right now.
Wait, so right now, the 63 southbound at the airport exit, there's a semi, from what you could tell, stuck in the traffic circle. Traffic is jacked up there now.
Yep.
Man. So
I just saw it.
All right, John, thank you and I hate to laugh because that's interfering with people's days, but thank you very much for the phone call. So the solution, we just need to make the traffic circles gentler.
And if you're headed north to the airport, take that, what is that, Angel Road? Don't wait for the exit. You might want to exit early to get to the airport.
Goodness, we had one semi on fire this morning near the Rocheport Bridge on 70. Another one stuck on a traffic circle. Ed, welcome into Wake Up Columbia. What can we do for you, bud?
Thank you, Brandon. To your point about the giant traffic circle, major metropolitan areas, I don't know the feasibility of this, but the major metropolitan areas have a beltway around them. And I don't know if that would help with the traffic situation in Columbia or not, to your point.
The 170 in St. Louis, it kind of it goes around the city.
Yes.
That could be something. Hey, Ed, thank you. Great idea, man. We appreciate you being a part of Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com. Coming up about 5 minutes. Oh, I do want to do this audio. It's a 911 phone call. And just so you know, it's not somebody having a horrible moment. It's somebody very adeptly taking advantage of a very liberal law in a very liberal city. But it's kind of hilarious. We'll do that coming up about 5 minutes from now. Plus, do you know the name Robert Heft? Don't GTS it. You can GTS how far it is from here to California, but
Branden Rathert and Wake Up Columbia. Drinking upstream from the herd. 93.9 The Eagle.
When you suffer heat exhaustion, or heat stroke, then your vital organs, your brain suffers damages, and you could die.
So that's what happened at the January 6th committee hearing yesterday. Apparently, a lot of the panel members, they got their brain was affected from the heat. Listen, it's going to be hot today. We know this. You know to be careful, but we always feel like it's necessary to say it because inevitably somebody gets out there, and probably younger dudes. You know, I'm not a younger guy anymore, but I remember when I used to be young, you know, you always think man, I can do this. I got this. I'm a man. I got this. Be careful.
I never thought that, but I do tend to get busy, and then I lose track of how much water I've had that day or whatever. Yeah. And so
874-9390, a couple of things. So apparently we're getting several calls. Southbound 63, the airport exit, going to the Columbia Regional Airport. There's that traffic circle. You get off of 63 and you go around the traffic circle. Somebody has told us that apparently a semi is stuck on that traffic circle and it's backing up the exit. And I don't know the proper response here because I feel like I want to laugh a little bit. And so I will always say, I'll be honest with you, so I want to laugh. So I'm checking the Columbia Regional Airport schedule. Doesn't look like the next flight leaves until like almost noon. So I don't think there's any flights leaving here in the next half hour to 90 minutes that would cause problems for people trying to get to the airport. So I'm okay with laughing a little bit as long as nobody's hurt.
Well, and traffic is backed up onto 63, so, that's affecting more than just those trying to get to the airport.
Yeah. So now I regret laughing.
But also, I wonder how Ashland is going to... Because it's in Ashland, right? Kind of, sort of?
Yeah, kind of.
I was going to say, hasn't Ashland kind of been criticized for their traffic circles in the past year or so? The big project that they just had in town.
874-9390. And then we're also talking about Ideas 6370. MoDOT saying last week, hey, we've got some news coming regarding 6370. And now we know there's going to be in July kind of like some more developments. Chuck wants to talk about 6370. What's up, buddy?
I do want to talk about it, but real quick, since I drive a truck, I have to say it takes a special kind of idiot truck driver to get stuck on a roundabout. Just leave it at that. But I've seen a lot of overpass systems, and I think the best solution for Columbia, literally not just for 6370, but 70 as it goes through Columbia, is they ought to steal the idea that Austin, Texas does. And what they did with I-35 down there is they just built, they left the existing roads the same for 35 and made that what they call local I-35 traffic. And then they built an elevated roadway directly above 35, which is for flyover interstate traffic, people that don't want to exit locally. And it didn't change anything. Basically, all they did was just build an elevated flyover across the entire stretch of 35 as it runs through Austin.
So to bring it a little bit closer to home, something kind of comparable to like 170 in St. Louis or I-255. I like that, Chuck. God bless you. What do you see in diesel prices here? And I got about 10 seconds.
Astronomical. I saw $5.69 yesterday.
How much were you paying a year ago? Do you recall roughly? $3.50-ish. God bless you. Hang in there, brother. We'll try to offer you some hope here on Wake Up Columbia. This is pretty cool. Coming up next, Feel Good Friday. It's our Central Missouri Honor Flight Radiothon with Diamond Pet Foods, trying to send veterans to Washington, D.C. As a matter of fact, we're doing something really cool this year. Go to our website, $300 donation sends a veteran to D.C., gets you an official T-shirt thanks to Extreme Body and Paint. And also want to thank our friends Midmo Telecom and Living Canvas for helping us out with that this year. Hi, I'm Branden Rathert for Atterbury Auction and Realty Company. AtterburySells.com. I want to tell you about this old Southwest Columbia home. It's been well maintained and it's ready for a new owner. This is on Lindell Drive in Columbia. And it's almost 2,000 square feet, 3-bedroom brick split level. And see, this is why when you go to Atterbury Sells, the website for Atterbury Auction and Realty Company, AtterburySells.com, you find gems like this. You find something that's like, oh, wow, check. And it's got a screened-in porch edition. What a cool place. Check it out at the very least. Just go to the website, AtterburySells.com, because you might be looking at this old Southwest Columbia home on Lindell Drive in Columbia with the beautiful yard and all that good stuff. And then you might find, oh, look at this. And then you might forward the link to friends or post it on Facebook. It's pretty cool. Atterbury Auction and Realty Company, AtterburySells.com.
Prices keep rising. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. We just got an inflation update on the wholesale level. Producer prices going up 0.8% last month over April, 10.8% higher than a year ago. That is slightly less than March's all-time high, but
expect these gains to continue to feed through to consumer prices. We already saw 0.6% gain in consumer prices that came out Friday, a new 40-year high.
Fox Business Network's Dagan McDowell. The Federal Reserve is analyzing all that inflation at a meeting expected to lead to a big interest rate hike tomorrow. On Wall Street, stock futures are rising, coming off 2 straight massive sell-offs. President Biden will react and talk about the economy later this morning in Philadelphia. Next month, he'll go to Saudi Arabia. Fox's Griff Jenkins at the White House.
Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre confirming that President Joe Biden will meet with the Crown Prince in BS amid the highest gas prices here at home ever in history. But Jean-Pierre also downplaying the suggestion that the president's going with an open hand, asking for more oil.
To view engagement with Saudi Arabia on energy security as asking for oil is simply wrong.
Before going to Saudi Arabia, the president will visit Israel and the West Bank. Just weeks after the massacre at a Uvalde, Texas elementary school, a scare at a summer camp near Dallas.
Duncanville police say a man walked in the front door armed with a handgun. He allegedly exchanged words with a staff member in the lobby and fired 1 round. No one was hit.
Peyton Yeager with Fox 4 TV says he then tried to get into a classroom full of children and the gym where more kids were. But as the children were being evacuated, police shot and killed that man. No children or staff or officers were injured. It's going to be dog days of summer-like in much of America. Excessive heat warnings and advisories. Triple-digit temperatures are close to it. Phoenix, St. Louis, Minnesota, Charlotte. America's listening to Fox News.
Run, walk, honor. The Tunnel to Towers 5K Run and Walk in New York City retraces FDNY firefighter Stephen Siller's final footsteps on 9/11. That single event has inspired more than 70 runs, walks, and climbs in different cities across the nation each year. Register for an event in your area or volunteer to start one. Do good and never forget by donating $11 a month at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with expertise and tools with Windows 11 to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. To do more with a Latitude laptop, Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. It is 8:03 and Robinson saves you time. Sunny skies. We're already at 81 degrees here in Columbia. Heat advisory in effect. We're expecting a high today of around 96 degrees. Clear skies tonight with a low near 76. Good morning, and here's some of the stories we're working on for you on this busy Tuesday morning. We'll begin with a tractor trailer that has been on fire this morning that's caused problems throughout the morning drive at Route Double B in the Roachport exit, creating traffic backups earlier. The good news is the fire has been put out, and there are no injuries to report, according to Gail Blomenkamp, who's with the Boone County Fire Protection District here in Columbia. No injuries to report. However, it has been causing some traffic backup there, and part of the issue also was the fact that there was one westbound lane on the Roachport Bridge already closed overnight due to concrete work, and they'll be back out there doing work overnight starting at 7 o'clock this evening through 7 a.m. tomorrow. Meantime, Columbia's school board has listened to a detailed presentation about numerous safety and security upgrades at CPS in the past 4 years. The board discussing the issue at their meeting Monday night. They learned progress has been made on proximity card readers. CPS says only 6 buildings remain. The board also hearing about the district's digital security technician. That tech oversees cameras and new technology. According to CPS, they now have about 1,300 cameras. Columbia and Jefferson City, by the way, remain under a heat advisory through tomorrow evening. It is hot right now. National Weather Service St. Louis meteorologist Matt Beitcher.
Heat advisory is issued by our office when the maximum heat index for any period of time meets or exceeds 105 degrees. That means that a combination of heat and humidity would make the temperature feel like 105 degrees in the shade.
NWS is urging you to stay hydrated, to take frequent breaks as well. They have some good news, though. The St. Louis meteorologist Alex Elmore says cooler air will move into the region on Thursday, bringing what he calls cooler temperatures to the area on Friday through Sunday. They'll still be up into the 90s, lower 90s, but humidity and the dew points will be lower. Yesterday's high in Columbia was 96. It's not a record because the record on yesterday's date was 100 degrees. It was set back in 1953. A judge hearing emotional testimony from both sides on Monday, Callaway County, before sentencing a Fulton man to 74 years in prison for a 2019 drug-related killing. 51-year-old Justin Witt, a convicted felon who legally could not have a gun when the incident happened. Prosecutors say that Witt wanted to get high that evening. Testimony at trial indicated Witt and 2 other men planned to purchase methamphetamines from Nathan Pritchett Jr. in a church parking lot. Pritchett then changed the location to a more remote area. Public defender Catherine Benson telling the jury that Witt used counterfeit money written in Chinese to purchase the meth, and that Pritchett recognized it was counterfeit, told the men he would kill them, and pointed a gun 3 feet away from Witt. Now, the prosecutors say that was a toy gun. The defense says Witt feared for his life. He had a shotgun, a 20-gauge shotgun. Judge Kevin Crane has denied Witt's motion for a new trial. Much more on this case, 939theeagle.com. A tentative bipartisan agreement in the U.S. Senate on gun legislation is being criticized by Missouri Republican Senate candidate Mark McCloskey. He spoke on 93.9 The Eagle's Wake Up Columbia.
I mean, the bottom line is that they always want to do things about what the left calls assault weapons, when in the real world more people get killed every year by hands and feet and even hammers than long guns of all kinds.
Washington Post is reporting the bipartisan tentative agreement on guns involves modest gun restrictions with significant new mental health and school security investments. Senator Roy Blunt, a Republican, supports the tentative compromise. And citing limited usage, Columbia officials plan to reduce the hours of the cashier's drive-through window behind City Hall. That'll start on July the 5th. The drive-through window allows you to make your payments for your utility bill, get a receipt as well. It's been open weekdays from 7:30 in the morning until 5:30 p.m. That'll change on July the 5th to 8 to 5. That is the same hours, or will be, as the lobby hours inside. There's also a utility drop box inside City Hall during the normal business hours. Our news is brought to you in this 8 o'clock hour by the folks at the Callaway Bank. The Callaway Bank has a dedicated customer care team there with you for the moments that matter. 93.9 The Eagle News Time is 8:07. In sports, we're going to have a doubleheader for you coming up today and tonight. It's not a back-to-back doubleheader, but we'll have it for you nonetheless here on 93.9 The Eagle. We'll start with last night's action. Cardinals beat the Pirates 7-5 at Busch Stadium yesterday evening. Goldschmidt had a huge home run in the seventh inning for the Cardinals, who had 14 hits. Cardinals still with a one-game lead over the Brewers. The Cardinals lead the National League Central again by one game, especially after that win. That win last night was big. Carlson also hit a home run. Doubleheader today at Busch Stadium. If you're heading to the game, whether it's today or even tonight, make sure you stay hydrated. 12:15 the first pitch in Game 1. Game 2, about 6:45. Pre-game coverage this morning, 11:20, right here on 93.9 The Eagle. Tom Ackerman will be on the air from the Cardinals Baseball Network. Actually, he'll probably be over at Busch Stadium doing his pre-game today. Giants beat the Royals 6-2 last night. Game 2 in the series is coming up this evening. NBA Finals last night, it was the Warriors beating the Celtics. They're now up 3-2 in the NBA Finals, and the Warriors need one more win to win the NBA championship. Our sports is brought to you this hour by Anderson Windows, Mid-Missouri. Our news time is 8:09. All right, John, thanks. Partly sunny skies. It's 81. 8:09 traffic check. MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com. One quick traffic note. We've just received word from Mexico authorities that there is a large tree that has fallen into a roadway at Abbott and Love in Mexico, and that road is blocked. They need to get utility companies out there to clear that. That should be clear sometime today. No injuries, but again, a large tree, apparently very big tree, has fallen Abbott and Love streets in Mexico, tying up traffic there. No injuries in that incident, which is good news. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Okay, America, that's enough. Just stop piling on Joe Biden, okay? Stop blaming him for everything, okay? Inflation, fine. Maybe it's partly him. Gasoline prices, fine. Blame him. But you cannot blame him for the baby formula shortage. No, because he drinks Ensure, not Enfamil.
That took a right-hand turn.
That's good.
I didn't go where I expected. And now he's got traffic apparently jacked up 63 southbound at the airport exit. Dang it, Joe. We told you this was going to happen. We are getting some texts. Haven't received confirmation from anybody officially. Just our eyeballs on the ground. Apparently 63 and 70. So not 63 and 70, 63 southbound. The airport exit. Several folks have called in and said that a semi apparently, so if you take that exit to go off to the airport, there's a traffic circle.
Right.
So if you're going down south, you get off and there's a traffic circle, and you come back around and you go back across 63 on your way out to the airport and the home of the new Amazon distribution center, which is like this close to opening.
Yes.
And there's some hope locally, more jobs, more good paying jobs. But apparently a semi got jacked up on the traffic circle there. And it's got traffic backed up 63 trying to get off on that ramp.
Oh, goodness.
One of our listeners has actually just sent a picture via text, 874-9390. Oh, God.
Oh, no.
I wish we had a way to show this on the video, but apparently it's parts for the new airport terminal.
Oh, goodness.
I hope everybody's okay, but it's kind of funny.
Well, and it's obviously, and that'll tie up traffic for a while. They're going to have a hard time getting that out of there. By the way, I've left a message for the chief down there in Ashland, and I know he very well could be out at the scene right now. When we get some more information, we'll let you know. I mean, the good news is there's nobody hurt, but that is And Stephanie's putting the picture up right now. Yeah, just looking at that and just seeing how those wheels are in the median right now, they're going to probably need at least 2, maybe 3 wreckers to get that I'm not sure how he ended up. Maybe slid off the road there somehow. I'm not sure.
What I can tell, I'm looking at these pictures, and maybe Stephanie and Hannah has a different perspective. And I can't tell where this is from, but it almost, and Trent, who sent us the pictures, maybe if you can add some more perspective. From what I can tell, and I'm probably wrong because it's happened probably a couple of times already today, but it looks like maybe the trucker was going the wrong way in the traffic circle. Like instead of going off to the, getting off of 63, instead of going right around the traffic circle, tried to go in.
It could be.
And I could be wrong.
And here's the other thing, Brandon, to keep in mind. And again, we don't know right now, but I will say in that driver's defense that basically circle, if you will, it is tight for a car. It is tight for a car. I remember, and you probably remember when President Trump spoke down there, the traffic was and I saw cars. I mean, even the Secret Service vehicles, I could tell were having a little bit of difficulty getting around that because it's very tight.
Here's the thing with traffic circles. Here's why traffic circles scare me. They don't scare me. I can handle my business. I can handle a traffic circle. It's the other people that I'm worried about, especially because, listen, when you get people from out of town or whatever that have never, they don't, and I'm not faulting them. I remember MoDOT, they put out like a tutorial video when they did the double wishbone traffic circle. I think, was it Range Line, 70 and Range, somewhere when they did the double one, they put out a video like, hey, so if you're putting out a tutorial on how to navigate some roads, then there's something to it. So I'm not, if that's what this guy did, I could be completely wrong.
Yeah, I mean, if you want your life to flash before your eyes, there is nothing more terrifying than entering a traffic circle with someone who is going the wrong way. Because in most instances, you can try to swerve, but like if someone's going the wrong way in the traffic circle, you don't know which way to go. Do you stop? Do you go in? Do you
Put
go
it in
out?
reverse.
I mean, it's happened to me once, and this lady did not care. And she saw where she wanted to go, and she took a hard right into the traffic circle and went. She just was like, I'm going that way, and that's how I'm going to take the shortest path there. But it was terrifying.
John says, I warned everybody about the truck in the traffic circle. They must not be listening. And that's the thing, excuse me, when you come up on a traffic circle and somebody, they don't understand the yield, or they're in the circle and they're like, wait, am I supposed to stop? I mean, there's points like you see somebody just get out of their car, turn off the engine, drop the keys, say, screw it, I'm leaving my car here because I can't handle the traffic circle, which I would get for people that have never been through a traffic circle before.
One of the traffic circles in Ashland, I had to do a couple laps around one time.
That's what I was saying. Or they're like Hannah, and they're just on the merry-go-round, and they're like, I'm just going to keep going.
I wasn't intentionally doing it. I missed my turn and realized I needed to do another lap so I could take it again.
874-9390. Chris, welcome into Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle. What's up, buddy?
I was just picturing Hannah going around there with that little tune, doot, 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 the merry-go-round.
Yeah.
You and your newsman mentioned that, that's kind of a tight, whatever you want to call it, traffic circle roundabout up there at the airport. This is what really frustrates me with MoDOT. I don't think they've ever built 2 traffic circles the same, or 2 roundabouts, whatever you want to call them. Every one of them is different. And what I didn't understand, down in Ashland, it's state highway and all. They built the roundabouts there. They're totally open. They're totally paved. This almost couldn't happen down there. And yet up here at the airport, where you have all the tractor trailers running out of the airport to the mail facility, you've got all the transport trucks going up to the pipeline, more truck traffic than probably any roundabout anywhere. And they put all the curbs, I call it, chutes and curbs and whatever in there, and their trucks hit them all winter long and bang into them, and people, when it's snowing, you can't see them, and they drive over them. And it's like, why did you do that? It seems to me if you would have reversed these 2 places, you would have the big open one right up here where all the truck traffic is. But, hey, what do we know, right?
You know what, Chris? You've just let me. Here's what I'm wondering, too, with the traffic circles there. I mean, we're getting ready to open up this Amazon distribution center.
Yes.
Right down through there, and I'm thinking of all the semis, and I'm guessing...
Well, there's already a ton of traffic going in and out of there. Like I said, it's tractor trailers all day and night to the mail facility out there, and then all those transport trucks going up 163 because they can't get off anywhere else pretty much. And it's, been this way forever, but why did you build us this, really limited thing up here? I just don't get it.
And again, here's where I might be wrong, but I would like to think when they were putting in this Amazon warehouse, which is supposed to open up a couple of weeks from now, this Amazon fulfillment center in Ashland, I'm thinking, okay, people went and they scoped everything. Smarter people than me and you, Chris, got their stuff together, right? They're like, okay, traffic circles, that's fine.
They don't care about truck drivers, I can tell you that already. But
Wow. All right. Chris, thank you, man. You have a great day. We always appreciate you being a part of the show. 874-9390. So apparently is what we have, according to pictures, texts, and phone calls. The traffic circle, 63 southbound airport exit. Apparently there's a semi that's carrying... it almost looks like the walkway from the... So this would be, I guess, like the new walkway from the terminal onto an airplane.
Like a jet bridge.
Jet bridge. Truck, it looks like carrying that. Again, I'm only looking at pictures. Haven't heard anything official. Have reached out. We're trying to see.
I will say I have friends who have been in trucking and who haul various large pieces of equipment and other things. This is not like a normal, just like your basic semi. It's a semi hauling something, it appears, for the airport. And so that could have, and I don't know, I don't see like the red flags for like oversized or wide load or anything like that, but it could be the sheer size of whatever they're hauling that did cause them some difficulty.
Now, Trent at 874-9390, he did say that the truck entered the roundabout the wrong way. And Trent says it was probably a better shot with a long load like that, but he doesn't know what happened.
And my I could be wrong, but my understanding is, they won't let you put in some of those like art in the middle, and that lip on the middle is lower because it is built so that certain trucks with certain loads can go up onto the lip in the middle to make those turns. And so maybe he was doing what he was instructed to do, because there are certain instances where I think the back tires of the truck are supposed to go up on that middle part in order to get the turn right.
Can you imagine being the truck driver right now?
Can you imagine being the truck driver right now and listening to Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle? Dude, and here's what I'm going to say with this guy. Maybe he was doing what he was told. I'm going to come at it like this. I'm going to guess maybe he's never encountered a traffic circle, because these aren't necessarily common. They're not everywhere you go. And people who have never driven up through a traffic circle, they do, man. When you've got MoDOT putting out a video on how to navigate a traffic circle like they did a couple years ago, they're not the easiest thing in the world if you have never been through them.
And I would say this guy deserves grace. The people who don't know the height of their truck and who ram the bridge or who get wedged under something, I know grace for those folks. But this guy, I think, probably deserves, or gal, deserves a little bit of grace.
Hey, I want to apologize for something I said earlier.
Boy.
Which thing?
Yeah, right, which thing? No, not that one. I kept saying this 911 phone call. Somebody made because they're taking advantage of a crazy law in one American city. So he calls 911. But why does he call 911 on the police? Do want to get to that a little bit later. Are you going to do the inflation numbers in the morning? The new inflation numbers come out. They still suck. Is there? Or do you got something else?
I have something that actually is making me feel good about my financial decisions. How about that?
Good, because Stephanie's Dusty says via text 874-9390, says Stephanie needs to get Elon working on that. Morning Bell coming up. Just a few
Always certain. Sometimes right. This is Branden Rathert and Wake Up Columbia. 93.9 The Eagle.
His answer has been pretty simple, which is, yes, he's running for re-election.
So White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, when it was asked, is Joe Biden running for re-election in 2024? And she said, yes. The answer's pretty simple. He is going to run for re-election. And no offense to our 79-year-old listeners this morning, but Joe is 79 now. So, 2 years from now? What's 79 plus 2, Hannah?
Seriously? It's 81.
That's whole, and again, and no offense to our 81-year-old listeners, but Joe plans to run. I would take, and I don't know if this is morbid, I would bet, okay, never mind. Hannah, all right, never mind. 8:28.
Yikes.
Time for the morning bell with Stephanie Bell. Business news with a little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you.
This is some feel-good news for you, kind of. So I always feel bad about, I was an early reader about Bitcoin, and I really thought I was going to buy one when they were like $500. And this was like, 8 years ago or whatever it was. And every time I see what the price of a Bitcoin is now, I get really depressed. I'm like, oh, if I just would have bought that Bitcoin, I would be a rich lady. Anyway, apparently Bitcoin dropped about 20%. Falling below 23,000, which at one point recently it was up like in the 60,000-ish range. And CNBC is saying 200 billion was wiped off the crypto market over the weekend. So if you're like me, and every time you hear about crypto, you're like, I wish I would have done
Fist
it.
bump, buddy, because
the people who
like
put all their
you.
money in crypto are feeling the effects. But it's another just sign, I think, of the overall economy, which is not good news. But you don't have to feel quite as bad in that whether your money's invested in the regular market or in crypto, everyone's feeling the hurt these days.
Jeff Knox, 2010, 2011, young news guy on my radio show in Florida, was telling me all about this. And I thought, so I'm right, at least this week, at least right now. Fox is going to have more latest financial numbers that have come out. And more, apparently, 63, the airport exit truck stuck on the roundabout there. We'll have more on that coming up 8:35.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. More inflation. The Labor Department reports the Producer Price Index measuring wholesale inflation is up 10.8% from a year ago. Inflation will be big on the agenda at the Federal Reserve Bank's two-day meeting starting today.
The Fed meeting is expected to result in another interest rate hike. With inflation at a four-decade high of 8.6%, Fed officials are likely this year to boost borrowing rates even higher than was expected just weeks ago.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. President Biden's first trip to the Middle East in office next month starts in Israel and the West Bank.
The White House says the president will then travel to Saudi Arabia. An administration official says President Biden plans to meet with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who U.S. intelligence officials believe likely ordered the killing of a U.S.-based Saudi journalist in 2018. As a candidate, President Biden called Saudi Arabia a pariah state over its human rights.
Fox's Jared Halpern. America's listening to Fox News.
And now award-winning local news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. It is 8:31 and Robinson saves you time. Right now we do have partly sunny skies. 82 is our current temperature. 81 degrees in Jefferson City. It's going to be a hot one today with temperatures in the upper 90s. Heat advisory remains in effect. More on that in just a moment. Good morning. Here's some of the stories that we are working on for you in this 8 o'clock hour. A heat advisory for Columbia, Jefferson City, and the Lake of the Ozarks remains in effect with daytime highs today approaching 100 degrees. Same thing for tomorrow. National Weather Service St. Louis meteorologist Matt Beicher is urging you to take breaks and also to stay hydrated both today and tomorrow, even if you're on the water.
People think that being on the water, it's a little bit cooler on the water, everything's fine, and you're not going to need to hydrate as much because it's cooler out on the open water on the Lake of the Ozarks. It's not necessarily true.
Heat index will make it feel like it's 105 degrees both today and tomorrow. Meantime, Columbia School Board has been briefed in detail about CPS building security and about the issue of Narcan. A lot of talk about Narcan in the PowerPoint presentation. Narcan now available at all Columbia high schools, secondary schools as well, according to the board's presentation. They also talked about the numerous projects and improvements that have been made in the district, safety and security improvements since 2018. The district now has 1,300 cameras. Much more on this, including a link to the PowerPoint. You can see it for yourself, 939theeagle.com. A Fulton man has been sentenced to 74 years in prison. A 2019 drug-related killing of a meth dealer in Calwood. Justin Witt wanted to get high on the night of the murder, according to the Callaway County Prosecutor's Office. Defense attorneys say that Witt killed Nathan Pritchett in self-defense, and Columbia will reduce the hours of the cashier drive-through window starting at City Hall on July the 5th. News brought to you by the Callaway Bank. It's 8:33. Turning our attention now to sports. St. Louis Cardinals beat the Pirates last night at Busch Stadium by a score of 7-5. Goldschmidt had the big home run in the seventh inning for the Cardinals, who win the game. They are still up in the National League Central. They lead it by 1 game over Milwaukee. So we have a doubleheader for you coming up today. Cardinals and the Pirates from Busch. If you're heading to the stadium either today or tonight, make sure you stay hydrated, especially the afternoon game. It's going to be a tough one for everyone. Can you imagine the player and the umpires, especially the guy behind the plate? That is not going to be an easy job. The crew chief working today behind the plate. 12:15 first pitch, 6:45 is the first pitch for our second game. You'll catch both games right here on 93.9 The Eagle. Tom Ackerman pregame coverage 11:20 this morning right here on The Eagle from Busch Stadium. Giants beat the Royals last night 6-2, game 2 in the series coming up this evening. Our sports is brought to you this hour by Hemi Construction in Columbia. 93.9 The Eagle News Time is 8:34. Traffic check, MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com. Find a job, post your job opening today. Our roads have been pretty quiet here in mid-Missouri. If you'd like to report a traffic issue, call or text us 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
The radio station, 93.9 The Eagle. The show, Wake Up Columbia, with Branden Rathert, Stephanie Bell, Brian Hauswirth, and Hannah the producer, giving you news, analysis, and opinion.
Will make America energy independent. They'll make the gas prices lower, put more money into your pocket. We will secure the border. The other thing we'll do is we'll make sure your streets are safe. We're going to go into these communities. We'll provide them cop grants only if their DAs uphold every single law.
Of course, that's Representative Kevin McCarthy, California, talking about the GOP agenda. Instead of saying, hey, Democrats suck, these policies failed, Joe's a moron, instead of saying that, here's what we are going to do, which I always like that tact. It's hard to do in primaries. We look at our U.S. Senate primary here in Missouri, and it's hard, because we've got I think we've got some really, really good candidates in our Senate primary. Pretty much, the mindset, mostly the same. So how do you differentiate yourself? These are the things I want to do. It's easy to sit for either side to go and complain. Well, that side does this, that side, rah, 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 rah. What do you got? I don't know. Is it as effective to say, here's what we want to do? We want to put more money in your pocket. And I'm thinking, because listen, when somebody's, for example, I hate to keep going back to gasoline, and when somebody's at the pump, do you think they're going, that dang Vladimir Putin, they don't care. They don't care about Biden's price hike and how it came to be. They want more money in their pocket, and they know they do not have more money in their pocket right now. It's good messaging. And if you, can we give a big round of applause to our if you are a newish listener to Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle, I want to introduce you to Brian Hauswirth. Brian Hauswirth is an older dude like me. We've figured out the math officially, and I think I'm a couple of months older than Brian, so that makes me the oldest person here on the show. That is something that I'm not necessarily proud of. Brian loves to eat at Cracker Barrel restaurant.
Yes.
he's won numerous awards over the years, including some this past weekend from the Missouri State Broadcasters Association. He is a fine journalist. And I wanted to introduce you to Stephanie Bell, my friend who sits to the left. And by the way, if you didn't know this about Wake Up Columbia, you know, you can watch the show by going, we have a channel on YouTube. It's 93.9 The Eagle. And you can also watch on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page. And Stephanie Bell is just an amazing human being. She is I like to call her a high-powered attorney. She is a mom and a wife, and she does all this stuff, and she travels to foreign lands all the time and hangs out with people like the Japanese Prime Minister and Tom Cotton and Tom Cruise recently. I mean, she does pretty, right?
It's awesome.
She does.
There's some exaggerations and inaccuracies there.
And my name is Branden Rathert, and I have a tendency to exaggerate sometimes.
You're male. It happens.
Really, that fish, man, it was this big. It was huge. And that is my dear sweet Hannah, whom I've known since she was like 8 years old.
The number gets smaller and smaller every time.
I know, and mine gets bigger and bigger. I think I'm 53, 54 years old. You get past a certain age, you forget. That's Hannah. I met her when she was, I always get weird. People say, how'd you meet Hannah? I'm like, well, when she was in high school, I met her. Like, that doesn't sound right. I wasn't hanging around Centralia High School. Hannah is from Centralia. And we met. She was a young listener to Wake Up Columbia. First time we ever met, she was reaching out to us. She was in a classroom. By the way, still nailed that class. Still got an A in whatever the class was.
That's awesome.
Band.
Oh, okay. And my name is Branden. So this is Wake Up Columbia. One of the things that we try to do is we welcome, whether you're a regretful Biden voter, we're not here to make fun of you or tease you. That's not what we're trying to do. I promise you. Usually. No, we're not. Not to the voters, because, listen, you were sold a bad bill of goods. Somebody said, oh, we're going to do all these great things, and people bought into it, and they were tired of the mean tweets and all that stuff, and use the F word, and they said, we're going to vote for this guy. And so we're not chastising you. We are welcoming you aboard. One of the things we try to do here when we talk about these things that you hear a lot of folks complain about, we try to explain. We try to draw the line from point A to point B. This is how it works. Easy example right now, gas prices. I love it when I hear all these people, well, you know, the gas prices, that's largely out of the president's control. And that's not accurate. When you have NATO, for example, a general from NATO say, because what you will hear about Biden's price hike is, well, it's because Putin invaded Ukraine. NATO said in D.C., why did Putin invade Ukraine at this time? Because they saw the failures of what Joe tried to do in the pullout in Afghanistan. So all this stuff does go back to the person in charge. And it's not to criticize. It's just to try to explain to you in very simple terms. For example, the bus system in Columbia. Somebody said the other day, well, ride the buses, they're free. And that is their understanding. And I'm not faulting them for getting it wrong. We're not. It is free to get on a bus. You don't have to pay, but you are paying for it because there's monies that pay to run the city buses. Guess where those monies come from? They come from you and your taxes. So that's what we try to do here on the show.
So Paul texted us at 874-9390, and I believe this is in regard to the Biden voters who were sold just a crappy package. And Paul just says, man, sure got screwed on that deal.
So we're not here to chastise you. We're just here to try to explain. It occurs to me, and this came to me. I was reading a book. My dad reads these books, and I try to read them. And but all these, a lot of the in my opinion, conservative, Republican, the independent, libertarian message. So many of these people, they're incredibly intelligent, and they are. But they also speak in very intelligent fashion. that doesn't always help if you're trying to reach middle of the roads, undecideds, regretfuls, whatever. You got to speak in simple terms and explain how this works. My opinion. That's what I think.
And I do. I echo you on the point about the new listeners, too, because I've continued to hear from people that, and some are older, had some older people that came up to me the other day, but younger people as well. And Branden, just a very quick follow-up to an interview that we did last week. You lined it up, did a great job. Trey Dawson. Trey Dawson,
Yeah.
Who was just released from Algoa a couple of years ago. We had someone react to that, and I encourage people to read what she said on it's the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page. She said she also listened to the interview. Her name is Alicia Simmons. She said she graduated as well from Puppies for Parole from Chillicothe Correctional Center, obviously a former inmate. Said, amazing program, just amazing. It changed my life. So that is really good to hear. That's at least two. And we know there are many more that program, well, it's saved lives. There's no doubt. That was a powerful interview.
So Trey Dawson, the story on him, he's a guy who was in 5 different prisons, drugs, alcohol, you know the bit. And then in prison, this Puppies for Prisoners program, something like that.
Yes.
And he was taught the skill of training dogs and training their owners on how to work with their dogs. Gets out of prison. He goes, I think it's called Into Action, which they do really, really good work at Into Action. It's a local, I guess, a halfway house, transition house. I don't know the PC phrase nowadays, but people get out of prison.
That's what it is.
Yeah, okay. And they happen to have a dog at the house, and Trey told us this dog immediately warmed up to him. He starts taking the dog out to the park and working with the dog. People at the Columbia Dog Park start going, man, you're pretty good with that. And he starts working. And somebody one day comes up to this guy who's been in prison 5 times, who last words to his mom before she died were F off. Somebody said, hey, you seem really good with training the dogs. Can we pay you to work with us and our dog? And his reaction was kind of like, you mean you'd pay me to do what I love? And they said, yeah. And the guy has an incredibly successful business, meanwhile continues to give back to the community and help others because he's got that experience. That's some of the things we do here. Great. One of the other things is we continue to kind of introduce you to Wake Up Columbia. I am very forgetful. And a lot of times I'll say something is coming up at this time, and I get and I forget. And mostly, and what I blame that on my forgetfulness when I say, hey, we're going to do this 911 call from this smart dude taking advantage of a very liberal leaning type of policy in a very liberal city. And I forget to do it when I say I'm going to do it. And that is directly the fault of Stephanie and Hannah for not reminding me.
If we had to remember everything that came out of your mouth, that would be way too much.
So we'll do this here because we need to get moving along. My dad's texting me, hurry up, Branden. I'm waiting for the Gary Nolan show, which comes on at 9 o'clock. And that's another thing about me. My dad comes in, he fills in from time to time, hangs out with us. And my dad's favorite show on 93.9 The Eagle is the Gary Nolan show.
How does that make you feel?
I don't know. I think it's great for Gary Nolan because my dad's 71. You know.
But how does it make you feel?
How does it make me feel? I don't know. I've never really thought about it.
Whatever.
No, it's an interesting question. Here's how I know my dad loves the Gary Nolan show. Several years ago, my daddy's trying to figure out how, when I moved back to Missouri, he's like, oh, good, now you're in Missouri, I can listen online. I'm like, well, Dad, you could always listen in line no matter where I was. You could always listen to whatever show I was doing. So anyhow, my dad, brilliant computer programmer. As a matter of fact, whenever Obamacare, remember when the website launched and how disastrous it was? My dad was one of the programmers called in to help fix that. So brilliant computer programmer. But get him on the TikTok or on the Facebook, he didn't know what he's doing. So I do know about these things.
What? Loose? No is a loose term there.
So I get them set up with here, Dad, here's the website, 939theeagle.com, and see this big red listen live button. You click on that, and they Listen, get them all set up and everything, and my dad's got his reading glasses on, and he's looking at, like a 70-year-old dude does, looking at the computer, and I get him all set up, bookmark the site, so all he's got to do is come in every morning, sit at the thing, and my dad says, after like 5 minutes of going through this, my dad says, oh, good. Now I can listen to the Gary Nolan show every day.
Ouch.
Yeah. All right, coming up a few minutes from now, let's do this 911 call now because I'll forget again. Seattle. And a lot of cities actually have this thing. Hey, listen, to an extent, we're not going to get involved in high-speed chases unless serious crimes like, you're taking somebody hostage or something like that. Well, this was the case in Seattle. And Seattle comes up a lot because we see how liberal policies are things like defund the police. We saw the CHOP zone, was it last summer or 2 summers ago, because they wanted to defund the police. We saw the catastrophe that CHOP zone, Summer of Love, was. It didn't work. Those things when people say, oh, yes, let's defund the police and we'll put counselors on the street. That stuff doesn't work, and Seattle is the proving ground for that kind of stuff. Well, Seattle, apparently they had this law like no high-speed chases. Even if somebody's kidnapped somebody, you don't high-speed chase. Well, somebody in law enforcement said that's BS. So there's an actual law that says we don't do this. This is the 911 call. This criminal who has kidnapped his girlfriend has the wherewithal to call 911 to report that the cops are breaking the law.
Hey, I have Seattle PD illegally chasing me over I don't know what.
Okay,
I was leaving my car and they're chasing me.
Okay, sir, are you able to pull over and talk with officers, find out what's going on?
No, it's an illegal pursuit and my license is suspended.
So I know it's not the best audio, but he's saying I'm calling 911 to report the Seattle police are breaking the law by chasing me. This is highly illegal. Coming up 5 minutes from now, we'll get into some of the leftovers, some of the things that we didn't get a chance to get to on
This is Woke Up Columbia. And not really. Just kidding. 93.9 The Eagle.
But if the shortage continues, we would be going through all of those, and we would be reaching out to donors again and asking for their help.
That's Jennifer Hickam, interim director of True North of Columbia, chatting with our news partners, ABC 17, regarding the latest shortage. And we've had shortages in some parts of the country on diesel, shortages on baby formula, shortages on tampons. And this is how this affects True North of Columbia. He does great work when it comes to domestic abuse. They rely on donations and contributions. Now there's a shortage on that, and so it's something that's affecting them. Coming up, Gary Nolan Show. Before we get into that, want to make sure that you know about our annual 93.9 The Eagle Central Missouri Honor Flight Radiothon with Diamond Pet Foods. That's coming up next Feel Good Friday. We're just trying to send veterans to Washington, D.C. Also, in the vein of this, have you ever heard the name Robert Heft? Robert Heft. Robert Heft was from Lancaster, Ohio. He was a 17-year-old kid. When back in 1958, he submitted a design for the United States flag that's still in use today. Yeah. 17 years old. It is Flag Day, and I think also today is also the birthday for the United States Army. Thank you, Nathan, for turning us on to that. Another thing wanted to turn you on to real quick. You can help honor those who served with the Hope for Heroes 5K. It's a family-friendly run, walk. That's what I like about these 5Ks. You don't have to run them. You can walk them.
It's the thought that counts, right?
That's right, man. That's my style. Still helping. Heck yeah. Food Bank's VIP Veteran Pack Program. It's pretty cool. Website registration page, sharefoodbringhope.org. You can get more information on there if there's something you would like to, if you'd like to do with that.
Here's a big old serving of leftovers on 93.9 The Eagle. Enjoy.
Leftovers, some of the things we did not get to on the show today. You got
And why is that?
Because this one over here, Stephanie Bell, she just kept talking. I couldn't get a word in edgewise.
Really?
You got anything for leftovers?
I have a story, but you're not going to like it. Fox News put a story out about how apparently Vladimir Putin...
Okay, I know that story. Steph, you got anything for leftovers?
I don't... What story?
All right, I'm going to... You guys, you wrap up the show, and you can talk about this this story here in Leftovers. The only thing I had for leftovers was, I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover today. I will see you back here tomorrow. Hannah and Stephanie will take you out with their leftovers before the Gary Nolan Show here starts.
So, Stephanie, according to Fox News, Vladimir Putin goes to the bathroom in, these containers when he's traveling abroad.
What?
So that no one can, get any medical information from him. And that includes number 1 and number 2. And they just carry around a briefcase full of his excrement.
And then what do they do with it?
I don't know. I guess burn it when they get back to Russia.
Do you refrigerate it? Does it go it goes in a briefcase?
It does.
Gross.
Right.